But yeah, I'm just surprised that the Swain didn't end up moving a little bit sooner. His now, Jana, no flash.
Heal, flash, auto attack, first blood. Froggy is the one to pick that one up, and Evelyn Bot is in the area. Descent does drop the Rift Guard. They're going to look to engage. It's going to be a Cataclysm getting dropped down, but Vagar got pulled into the Cataclysm, which could be trouble.
Ooh.
Down goes Evelyn Bot. Down goes the Vagar as well. Hugs Descent and the support on the one side, but they're going to be the ones to get engaged on. Ultimate coming off for the Malphite onto the Vagar, but the Vagar is still okay for right now. He's going to try to flash the rest of his team as Evelyn Bot is on the look. The Caitlyn was left all alone on the backside, and no free hugs is now left all alone with everybody else from Farmingdale.
That's game!
Both of them are level 4. No Zillion bombs are available right now, which means French Delta Force is going to be able to get in. There's the flash, but the flag and drag lands, and El Unicornio in a lot of trouble. French Delta Force not able to get the kill. That one's going to go over to Huracan.
He's dead.
Quite know where he is. Has spotted him out. Here comes the Jarvan over the wall. Multiple members over the wall now as they're trying to get as much damage as possible. French Delta Force able to get the first kill. Now, bearing down on to the Xayah. They are going to get revived by the Zillion, but weak side. It just means they're a sitting duck to give more kills.
There's nothing. Yeah, they quite literally.
Malphite getting in there on multiple members here. Weak side is now starting to join the fight here. Oh, somebody's in stasis, somebody's resurrecting, but it doesn't just matter. They're just all meant to die to Vagar. It's a double kill for weak side, a double kill for French Delta Force. They get a kill back.
Leave the old man alone!
But they are going to be able to close out onto the Zillion. The cherry on top for Froggy and Farmingdale State College.
Holding on to this stock at 160.
Oh yeah, both of these characters decently heavyweight, gonna be seeing very large percentages. And the back ear from that fat mansion to take it right there.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to recover from this unless you get countered. Dags with a huge opener there.
But Splat says, listen, I need you to get right back on stage. It's nice that you want to get here. You gotta go.
And the block, I think, actually helps Splat there. Again, falling because the second hit of that...
I didn't get to show out last time the way I wanted to. Well, I'll do it.
He's all warmed up now, but he will drop that stock this time around.
Welcome Esports U Nation. It's time for a Valorant Final ECAC action coming at you live on a Tuesday of all nights. I'm Hail Monkey Man, the brawny gamer, if you will, alongside one of the best in the business in the form of Vincent. Vincent, we have the ECAC fall semester finals. A lot of teams that had to survive, had to find out how you get through round one, and then got to this moment, but only 2 teams left to go.
That's right. We got Siena Heights up against Wichita State in a finals where, honestly, I think it's fair to say not our expected grand finalists, but I'm so excited that they got here, and I'm so excited to see what they have on offer here in this best of 5 series.
Yeah, this is a wild time, and of course, this is an ECAC final, and you guys get to have a little bit of fun with that as ECAC is offering a kickoff series of giveaways going into the holidays with their Season of Thanks. Hey, it's it's holidays. Why not be thinking? As we have December, they're going to be giving away a HyperX Cloud 2 wired headset. So type !ECAC in the chat, and you'll be able to enter information into that link and get yourself maybe a cool pair of headphones. And you can hear us get loud and proud about the Shockers and the Huskies. And we talk about these teams. They told us, they're like, hey, we're kind of new kids on the block. We know at least there's maybe a duo or so that was the same, but this is the first time that these particular teams come together, and they're here to shock and awe the entirety of this bracket, especially in these finals.
Yeah, giving it their best shot. Potential for 5 full maps as well. Coming into it, let's just talk about how these two squads got here. Wichita State, the regular season, 6-1. It looks great until you look a little deeper. They had like 3 forfeit wins, so they had a bit of an easier run. I'm not taking anything away from them. You can only beat who's put in front of you, but a little bit of an easier run for Wichita State. Siena Heights, on the other hand, undefeated, 8-0. Throughout that regular season, they did not drop anything. Just the single map to George Fox is all they were putting down. With that being said, though, once the playoffs started, all of that out of the window, because that's where things really got heated up.
Yeah, this was a wild matchup, especially as the first round just went crazy. You did have Wichita State and their bigger brothers over into that 5th seed, but they didn't survive against Pace, as everything went from round 16 to quarterfinals, and it was Wichita State that took down Cumberland, the number 1 seed, in a 2-1 diff to then get to the semifinals, where it went to game 5 against Pace. So this has been, maybe they weren't having to play too much when it came to the regular season and they had a bunch of forfeits, but then in playoffs they have proven and strutted their stuff through this bracket. There's only one left in front of them, and that's in the way of Siena Heights, who took down Farmingdale in their own semifinals. So, I mean, we watched that all the way. Bracket runs are bracket runs, and they're super cool. And we go to a best of 5 maps on lock, and it starts with not quite the Holy Trinity, but at least the first 2.
Yeah, we got Ascent coming in, Wichita bringing us there. The Huskies thinking that's going to be the best place to get started. Haven, courtesy of Siena Heights. That's when things get a little bit different. We got Lotus coming in, so back-to-back but 3-site maps, Split and then Sunset, should it be necessary. I think I'm going to leave the backside of this for a little later on. Let's just talk about the opening salvo, if you will, of maps that we got with Ascent, Haven, and Lotus. Talking of this, Wichita State, we just discussed it. They have had to fight tooth and nail. 3-2 in their semifinals to 1 against that coveted Cumberland squad that looked like they should have had a run into the finals, devastated by Wichita State. They've had to play a whole ton of maps, whereas Siena Heights, undefeated, but that means that they've had it, I'm going to say it a little bit easier, haven't had to show their map pool quite as much. Will that matter?
I think not too much, because you're still in the same level of execution. If we look at these first 3, we call the Holy Trinity of Ascent, Bind, and Haven, but I also like to call at least the Trinity of Trinities, because if you get Haven and you leave it alone without Bind, you often get Lotus, and that's because you got used to that similar kind of rotation and audibling and rotating away. I think that these maps in particular allow for adaptation on the map itself versus having to really kind of reveal too much in your bag of tricks. You're going to show it right here. So Ascent is a great starter kit. Obviously, if you're not going to show it map 1, you're going to show it map 2 if it's not banned out of the pool in its entirety, and that's where both these teams are just going to get their heat check good to go, everyone clicking in the right way. But when we hit Haven, that's all of a preparatory to see if you're ready to go to that map 3 and if we're at a tied series or not.
Yeah, and I think just kind of to dive in a little bit deeper and talk a bit about this Siena Heights team and what to expect from them. Listen, they were putting together some really dominant score lines in their series up until this point throughout the playoffs. We saw some Haven from them. That was a tight game that they played as well in the semifinals. But two players individually that I wanted to highlight, Noble and Sona, dominating in the server, where I mean, especially in the semifinal game, but overall this whole season, Sona's been putting together a whole lot of good work, and I think that that's going to be a player to watch for that side. That leads us to the question for Wichita State. Who is it that we should be looking out for?
I mean, this is going to be a total composite because you're going to be looking through Truman, Sui, Skeebs, Thiessen, and Cams. Yes, I named the whole roster because it can evolve.
That good, huh?
I mean, yeah, literally everyone. I would kind of have to look over to Truman just simply because they do have that IGL position to them, but they're not going to be your main. I think Thiessen could actually be your kind of your proper weapon in the arsenal, if you will, to pop off for them. So going to be looking at least to see if that identity pops up in game ones and who really kind of identify this themselves, because a sense as a map, just when they pop into the beginning of a best of 5, it's your appetizer of your 5-course meal. I know that many often don't even get to finish to get to dessert. You had too much chicken along the way, and there was a lot of bread, which actually could happen over onto Haven and Lotus. But Split being in this position, you were talking about a dominant semifinal that was ran by Siena Heights whenever it was against Farmingdale. They went against them on Split and absolutely crushed them, and it was at the hands of Sona. So, gonna see ourselves on Ascent, and I don't think we're gonna see anything crazy here. It's gonna be 2 initiators. It's your run-of-the-mill type of Ascent.
I do kind of want to ask this question because knowing that Wichita elected to bring us here to Ascent, and it being a map, you mentioned it as the appetizer, it's also a map that everybody has experience on, that everybody does play. Is that a dangerous thing to do, to bring your first map, a map that so early in the series you really do need to win if you're going to continue? Is this dangerous because you're bringing yourself to a map that is more than likely going to be competitive regardless of how good you are?
I wouldn't say it's dangerous. I think no matter who you're or what you're doing on any of these maps, it's going to be dangerous regardless, because there's far less of a barometer check of like, okay, can we deal with this new age? Like, say we're on bind, we're working off a teleporter, something maybe just the tiniest bit quirky. Ascent being so default, like, no, this is simply to get everyone boots on ground, to just have a foundation. And even if you drop this map, you're like, okay, cool, this is basically Scrim. But it's for the first big win, to find momentum, and of course, the same exact meta that we get every single time. You're going to have Sova, you're going to have K, you've got Omen, nothing different here, and this is now just simply how well do you rotate, how well do you listen to IGL, is everyone ready to go? I know you and I are, Vincent. We go to game 1.
Yeah, locked and loaded, it is indeed just going to be the bog standard. You've got a mirror matchup by the look of things, unless I miss something crazy. Wichita State's Siena Heights Grand Finals here for the ECAC Fall 2023, getting started right here and now. And I think that, for me, just about getting that first couple of rounds out of the way, some nerves maybe. We talked about the newness of some of these teams. I know Thiessen and Truman were part of the Wichita State roster for a little while, but the rest of the team, they let us know a little bit newer with regard to getting the squad together. I think getting a strong start will help put those nerves to rest.
And they've already kind of sent us some fun at the beginning of this semester, pre-competition space, which really kind of began over into September. They said, and I quote, "They are my collegiate teammates, not my friends. T-Man, 8/11/2023." So maybe some of the friendship will be built along the way, but it will also be about getting dubs into this big final. You're seeing the ECAC Fall Finals action here, and of course, we're starting off with the conga line to A, see what we can all drum up, and I just want to see who's ready to be able to take these fight, and also who's ready to just pressure themselves onto site.
Well, Siena Heights taking a chill pill for the moment. Don't want to overinvest in here. Just going to walk out and allow for the spike to potentially get planted. That'll come down soon enough. The paranoia leading in. T-Man with a nice shot. Nobody to follow that up, but now the bullets. Sui makes things a little worse for wear. The spike never going down, and Piggy waiting for the swing around the corner from Catwalk.
I always talk about killjoys on this map being the perfect lurking sentinel, and that's exactly what Piggy was waiting on, as they knew that that's basically the play. You have a 4-man crash going on to site, and one swinging out from tree just behind you. You have a 3v1. Truman's at least trying to find them with the shock dart and pressure them just away from the door. They have the swarm grenade, and Truman's basically locked behind where they don't want to be. And this is all about cleanup duty to get found, but they do find one pop before the final trade occurs.
Nicely done. I like that fragment down to the door as it was closing. Just getting confirmation that nobody can push forward, and it also does a little bit of damage to Cams, who ended up shrouded stepping out of the danger that fragment did apply. But just waiting for that last moment where the spike is getting planted and everybody thinks they have a moment to get into a post plant, and instead they're dealing with an onslaught.
And that fragment was also thrown with a slow orb, so they had to TP. There was no walking out of the danger pulses that were going over there. So we're going to be seeing... Oh, okay. Hey, Ares, why not? Noble, they are here for the memes. They're here for the dog play, and that one gets busted out early. But this also will come down to some of these quick head pops, because Sui is going to find that alarm bot, and they're just going to get very quick into marketplace. If you don't have the gun advantage, why not crush in when you have a 5v2 and isolate these fights?
Oh, Sui, nice shot. Getting another opportunity. LG needs to do some good work in the back of Boathouse, and doing just that. T-Man arriving with support just in time. As Algia goes down, it'll be T-Man to clean up the 3K. I was listening back to an interview, just kind of speaking on the Collegiate Valorant tournament. I forget who it was, but one of the Northwood players were talking about how they very much wish that B main area was not spammable. How oppressive it is. And, you know, I hadn't really been thinking about it until I watched that interview back, but man, is he right? Holy cow. That thing is... I've just accepted that as, like, gameplay fact, you know? Like, it can't change. But what if it could?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get their architecture degree and just reshape the entirety of Ascent. Imagine these walls were not bangable. That honestly would change things up, but a body surely is, as the first op already bought into round number 3, and Sui will fall in the ensuing shot there from... Imagine just not having to deal with the threat of bricks and bullets and those crisscrossing in front of your face.
Yeah. Round 3 operator, by the way, not something you see very often. It's an investment, right? But we talked about Sona as a player to watch out for. This is why. Getting that early opening pick, finding some aggressive angles to deal with, and catching your opponents off guard. It's what Wichita State are currently dealing with, and it's making their life a little bit more difficult.
Paranoia primed. Let's see what they can get from it. They'll get at least one, but they can't get the timing, as it is Sona that drops after getting another op trade, but Truman finds 2. Looking for a third. They gather it. They're going to at least make the path easier for that corner camp, as they can play that from deep side Boathouse. And so Skeebs on this rotate back. It's actually both players from Siena Heights that are going to come through in this position. Great read. They found the one. There's only one left, but both are on site. That's going to be a tough crash for Algia.
And Truman's getting a bunch of information already, knowing that this player can't be walking forward, at least not very much yet. And the recon bolt to follow that up. Life not getting any easier as Algia gets scanned and then dispatched. Siena Heights. It all looked great. Their setup at B, their early pick, I was loving it. But where did it all go wrong? Gotta find that trade onto Truman. He's just allowed to find frag after frag on the entry, and no trade comes forth. T-Man probably needed one there on the site.
Yeah, and there was also that kind of dangerous reposition. You knew that the op had kind of moved away, and Sona had been able to find at least that first pick and then the follow-up, but it was Truman knowing they have to cut down that space and the timing whenever you have that powerful option positioning. And Noble, all right, continuing, why not? Just letting them know, hey, this wall is as thin as you think it is.
On notice, as per usual. B-Main not open for business for the moment. It has been posted. You shall not pass here. This is a little bit of a slower round, though. Wichita State taking a chill pill. Taking their time, making their way up catwalk, and mid-control is theirs. All of that leading into what's going to be an A crunch by the look of things. There is a problem. Not Siena Heights A main control.
Oh, you're gonna get maybe caught with util. Exactly. Sui pressed all the way up, but you have 2 defenders. They went out to A main. This is a great read. They actually throw the paranoia. They get hit by their own teammate, but Truman there to protect them. A little bit off kilter on the timing for the util, but you know what? Sui still has 125 armor, so no harm, no foul.
Not only that, but You know, if Truman's going to get those frags, it really doesn't matter. Wouldn't hate to see SHU try to walk away here, but Noble stuck in position. What'll become a flawless round for Wichita State as Siena Heights, that strong early lead off the pistol, turns into a tied game after 4.
Shockers are going to push the Huskies into an eco. Sheriffs and half shields galore. It's basically the full clearance sale at your local Walmart, but you know, with
Hey, I love it.
yeah, just a lot of guns. It's Christmas time, so everyone's buying the same thing, right?
I certainly do.
Yeah, I mean, I get the same T-shirt. I love bees. Everyone gets the I love bees T-shirt, right?
Yeah, I got that one last year and this year, actually.
Oh, yeah,
Crazy.
just the same one.
Same one. Well, you know, listen, it was from 2 different people. They didn't know.
Okay, well, hey, that just means they have an easy like attire for going to work.
Exactly. I just wear 2 different ones, and they think I wear the same shirt twice. And I let them think that. I'm that weirdo, I guess.
Slightly different shades, slightly different text. Oh man,
It's just a different font, actually. Same shade of color.
Comic Sans versus Times
Yes.
New Roman. Okay, cool.
Here it comes. Retake, or at least attempt thereof. A 5v5 technically. Oh, that fragment just a little bit too short, and that's going to allow Skeeves some easy shots on target. Meanwhile, though, Wichita State not flawless in this, losing some lives, and even more so. This has become expensive, hasn't it?
Oh, it very much has so, and that's become a 1v2 with very damaged players. Noble just trying to do extra work, and they do get it down. I think they're going to have just enough time in order to get that defuse.
Ooh, no.
They're going to leave that one behind, so the timer not in their favor. So they get in, they grab guns out of hands. Noble doesn't survive, but the hold by Wichita State ends up working out into a round win. They've taken 3 in a row. One just a bit more expensive, but they've been able to really bulk up the cash.
Well, and that cash now a little bit lessened,
Just a little.
significantly so with regard to those kills. Not to mention Siena Heights finding a couple of extra orbs there. You know, they're awful close to all of these ultimates. Already got a couple of them on display and ready to roll. We'll see if that does matter. Fast towards B. That's what it looks like. See the spike. It's up at A.
Ooh, they're already jumping onto box, trying to just get the ping off before an Odin weighs them down. Everyone in this round is either on their ultimate or off by 1. They're going to use the lockdown to expand some space, but defensively, Noble and Algia standing strong, but it was all of a decoy. This is to bring the spike opposite, but this kind of play has been done before, and everyone knows about it. That ponytail popping up. Oh, and Sona popping Truman down.
That spike dropped, info gained, rotations have been had. There's a late lurk up middle for the attackers of Wichita State, but trying to win this round seems unlikely. A full minute for Skeeves to try and scheme their way out of this one, but what is the best course of action? Well, dodging out on that 0 point is priority number 1, but Sona, headshots galore, hits another to close the round.
It's a great buddy cop coverage move right there. I think that was Sona watching main, and you had one watching heaven, and so they were crisscrossed straight on sight. So good looks, good job, as we're tied at 3 apiece. And you had mentioned just a second before that it was a little bit dirtier of a buy, and that's exactly what it's looking like right now. They're kind of unsure where they want to go with it, if they want to hard buy into it, and if this is a loss, it's a loss. Blazestorm will be picked up by Sui, considering they aren't buying for themselves, and otherwise a couple of ARs, a very strong defensive opposite of that by Siena Huskies. And man, there's a lot of ultimates online. It could get loud pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm looking down the line, and there's a lockdown, a Hunter's Fury for that, another Bladestorm, and Sui going to use theirs to lead the charge. No alarm bot to contend with. A little bit of a surprise, but knowledge gained, but missed Blades. Allow T-Man the ease to take those shots. Not even a headshot.
Sui throwing every knife. Luckily, they're pretty cheap, just in keeping that credits in their back pocket. And Skeeves will pick up this orb to start rebuilding. It takes 9 in order to tango with anything. But now it's about, all right, Siena Huskies, they need to hold their nerve. Where do they think this rotation is happening? Do they even think it's occurring? There's still swarm grenades onto B, as well as a single defender, as they're just trying to jump over the box to see if people are entering Thiessen has been able to escape it. They could walk away with maybe a sneaky kill as they get right around it. They see one from distance and they try to walk away with more, but they're cut on all sides.
Yeah, a little bit of a dangerous jump spot. Siena giving too much space. It could have gone wrong, but Thiessen found and exposed as the plant goes down. Lockdown, that's going to be the first of these to go. Could see the Hunter's Fury in return, but seems that Truman's going to hang on to that. Never mind. Hunter's Fury the other side, trying to deal with these players hiding out in the corner in wide. And nice shot from Truman through, but that's not the diffuser.
They got that finished up.
Oh.
The shock dart's gonna get used, and they're gonna try and swing this corner, at least rend the final weapon out of Truman's hands, and it will happen. But wow, okay, you know what? Sometimes you just get straight back onto him, and then it just ends up being the wrong guy. And now let's look into the buy. You're gonna see ARs and not many thereafter. What do you think about this kind of unmeasured and kind of, all right, we want to keep at least some guns about us? It's like they're just trying to force it until they can't have it any further. It's like they're playing for the pick, and so they can pick up more on the field.
Let me theorize a little bit. I think last round was the investment, right? They kept keeping a little bit of extra cash, though, because they had it. This time, it's actually the save. Even though there is some money invested, money spent, it also gives a real chance of victory, especially with the weapon in the hands of Sui.
Oh, that's such a good find, Skeebs. Sona was looking up as they just saw the shoulder. What a great pick, as now that operator, well, it's going to be defended at least by 2, and they're going to go back to make sure that investment stays on the back line. The alarm bot will identify that Algae is near, and so they're going to parlay from the fight after getting a kill onto their doppelganger. Looking for that default plant just onto server, but it's a numbers game, and it's even on both sides into this 4v4. They're going to try and crash in from this, at least from tree. It looks like they're going to knock down that door, breaking and entering.
Sui's trying to get up into the power position there on top of Generator. It's a couple of refrags coming through, and Sui connecting big time, bringing back T-Man, who was knocked down, but with the ultimate out. No command, giving them second life. Both committed towards the site. Thiessen with another nice shot, and it's Sui to close the round. We keep it even at 4. And this is why that half commitment, though it seems disjointed at times, it can be effective.
And Cams came out of nowhere. They were holding from that pocket position just outside of Catwalk, and that really kind of just stunted the would-be sprint back onto site for SHU, because the Shockers, they were separated, yet that actually played in their favor, especially with the door down. All focus was to get back to site. You had one going into heaven, and then Cams caught 2 as they rotated in from trees. So fantastic job. And we go back to even Stevens for the most part here on this rifle round, and Cams already finds a great first pick onto Sona. Truman much the same with Noble.
Trying for the tile crunch. Sometimes it works, other times it will leave you in the lurch. And with this 2v3, good comeback there. T-Man gonna use the flash drive to get out. It blinds everybody. A second shot for his 3rd kill. It puts him in the 1v1. Algia delivering.
Oh, Truman. Nerves of steel, this Sova, and honestly, it was looking very good in favor of SHU. Siena Heights, as they had the pop out by T-Man on that flash drive. Everyone was just stars in their eyes, couldn't see nothing, and the double pick really was starting to rock the right way. And this now puts the Huskies onto the back foot yet again. Half shields, you have maybe a Bulldog. T-Man has a slightly thicker bank, Bitcoin all the way for them, but the Shockers on the other side of it have been able to gain ground. It's kind of been slightly streaky, not at all kind of dissimilar of what we see for typical ascents, especially just for typical rounds off of some of these kind of half ecos. And they're going to be playing right up into B, unafraid really to just kind of hit site and go.
Goal here for Siena has to be to pull out some of these ultimates, and they're doing that perfectly. We already see it. I mean, not the highest value ultimate, that Omen, but from the shadows gone, no command the same. So many extra kills are honestly a bit of a bonus. Wichita State, though, looking to shut it out for the most part. They lose one man, and Paranoia going out doesn't quite connect to Skeebs, who finds one, cams the other. It'll be Wichita State solid in the lead. 2 rounds, though, between them and Siena. And there's 2 rounds left in the half.
This is where the Huskies are going to bounce back, or at least going to attempt to do so. If they were to drop this round, then they will be very worse for wear going into the final of this first half to try and keep it more even. But
note that nanoswarm.
Yeah.
That we just saw.
Just right up
Keep
under.
in mind. Yeah, I mean, if we see the normal spot, the lockdown goes, that's going to do some damage, help out alongside that Odin.
Or at least poking at the idea. But that's such a telegraph move. We've seen it once before. That was a decoy. The spike, though, is transgressed over here. They don't have the from the shadows to immediately flip the field, but they are going to have it kind of move away. And I think they're going to play away from that more defaulted idea as they are poking and prodding here from Tree. You have the Paranoia ready to go. Piggy ready to find people that want to walk through, but the Cloudburst goes up as they don't want to have to deal with anyone coming to them.
We're not seeing that aggressive operator, though. Siena, they have it in their back pocket this round, but they got punished before. Don't want to do it again. It's the Rifles to move forward. The T-Man flash drive once again finding success. There comes the operator. Zona getting one and then escaping. Safety here in hell, but the time is ticking away, and the Paranoia pushes them down. Blinded. Can't see a thing. The 1v2 required.
Shock dart just for the angles and see if anyone's hanging off near side. They're going to drop that big weapon and go for a quick rifle, but they don't see Sui off to the side. The Huskies are dropped again. The Shockers looking pretty darn strong, and this is going to be a fairly weak buy. You're going to have half shields, a few rifles, Bulldogs barking about for Siena Heights. And Vincent, I mean, this is so far Wichita State. They're showing the growth they've had this semester as a total, maybe not completely new squad, but at least as a new squad for themselves, teamed up into this fall.
Yeah, listen, they picked Ascent, and they picked it for a reason, showing that they have some options. I think Siena Heights would have liked to see them maybe handle mid a little bit better thus far in this defensive half, but we're past that at this point, Monkey Man. It's time to shine. See what Siena can do on this lackluster buy. All 5, well, the exception of Skeeves, who's a little further back holding for mid-control. But the majority of the attackers towards A for now, though starting to rotate out. Pressure being put there and a rotation call.
And this is where the lockdown's going to come into play. You got to know that that's at least the first set piece. And they have the Blade Storms pop to try and defend it early, so they can get those precision picks as well. Shockers in a very strong place of advantage. They also have that Hunter's Fury Noble from this stair position. See if they can get anyone that is crossing. They at least denote one. And so this is going to be that play. Lockdown goes up. Now they play away from it, from some of this pressure in tiles. Noble wants to encroach. They're going to put this alarm bot back, and now they're going to crash onto site. Oh, but look at this long lurk from their attacking position.
I think Noble's positioning kind of gives away that this site is more than likely empty for the moment. Cam's watching, waiting, and looking. The first missed shot, but Cam's will recover. The Blade's still active, and that's bad news for Siena Heights as they try to make their way back in. 4 on 5, lacking the advantage, and the Blade Storm ready to roll. Full blinded, though, and that Skeeves spotting out of the dark cover just in time. But Gia nearly able to stop this. The Hunter's Fury might catch them, but they survive for the time. Going down to the rifle. The Phantom will be the end of Siena in this half. 8-4 the score.
I thought they had just punched lightning because I swore that third extra strike from the Hunter's Fury went straight through them on that box, but they must have found the tightest corridor to squeeze in before ultimately taking a bullet to the dome, and that's going to be Shockers. 8-4. And they're going to flip to the defensive half, which is typically, at least traditionally, where strength resides here on Ascent, because I'd honestly say that is less because of the map, but more because of how well practiced this is amongst the entire high competitive community. And it's everything telegraphed at that point. But, I mean, the Shockers just look very confident right now in this first match.
Can't disagree with that, but I will say in the Huskies' favor, it is just a slight advantage on that defensive side. So, don't think they're out of this just yet. The pistol round more than likely going to tell a story of their chances of continuing all but 2. Lurk up and through here into Catwalk to Paranoia. Gonna lead their way into Tree. Crunch towards A. It's a classic strategy, and there's nobody here, at least not personally, on the site.
I like that they bring the numbers early rather than later for tree swing, because you often see that if you're being repelled from a main, and then that immediately brought the fight. So now everyone's just kind of crouching at each other from beyond the same door. It becomes really West Side Story, and everyone's snapping, ready to bust down this door. It is going to be a full 5v5, just fist fight. And the majority of numbers are just going to push up into heaven. They see one. Paranoia. My goodness, Sona's playing a horror game. And Piggy and T-Man, well, big trades and blows as Noble finds their doppelganger. And now he comes a 3v2.
Phenomenal layering of utility there, but SHU, they've got the advantage. Cams needs to clutch, and the first shot hits. The second misses the mark, and Algia able to find success. There's that pistol round. Siena Heights. The Huskies given some new life right here.
Not a desperate plea, but definitely one that the Huskies needed. To allow the Shockers to get to 9 first, especially off a pistol, would have been detrimental, considering they would have been very near 10 off of that very big weapon buy. So instead, now the Shockers have to be set to receive. Do they get aggressive in their positioning? It looks like they're going to at least push out from A. They're going to find no one waiting on them, and that's because the crash is coming to B.
Yeah, pretty standard strategy for a second round. Anti-eco, stick together, play as if your life depends on it. In this case, it absolutely does. Noble will be the one to step up for the start of this round. The spike easily going to go down. Siena Heights, no real danger for this retake. The matter of how many kills, or if any kills really, is what we have to determine. Wichita State just gonna hold steady, waiting, patient as ever.
They're at this point just know they're gonna wait on exit kills. They're gonna hang out in Marketplace. You have a bit of damage off from this defensive side positioning, and they're gonna see if they can waste them out, maybe drop a single weapon by virtue of over the top rope. Sona getting rid of Thiessen, and now becomes Sona with 20 HP. If they can win the snapshot battle, they do. They get rid of Cams, and now it's just about, do you die to the bomb? Yeah, you sneak in. Spike is going to take your life. Environmental damage, and that's going to be a flawless over to the Huskies.
Money, money, money. That is what just got built up in that last round. Fully a bonus round coming in for these Huskies. That's what they were looking for. And now, well, a win here, really fortifying the comeback that the Huskies are putting together. A loss, no real issue, an expectation, if anything. Look at this. Monkey Man, they're all 5. Looking to do the same exact thing. No Odin, no Ares to shoot through this wall. A fast play. Back out to B. We saw it before. We'll see it again.
Recon dart actually will give them away a little bit, because that's gonna scan it out, but that's gonna give at least a little bit of intel. Truman right under the bricks. They have one blind. They're looking for another swing, but no. And the defense is at least winning the trade battle. Piggy picks up 2, and they'll be on site. The spike is down. Algia from this backside entry, waiting on at least the side to side teaser with Thiessen. Spike does occur. And Algie, I love when people hold this angle. It's not often checked. This time it will be, but it becomes a 3v1. You hit him with the spread. Off the 3v1 pop, they're just walking into Algia's sights.
Burst fire. It's brilliant. Algia has just saved this round. Piggy will swing, and it's a double swing off the back of it. Algia gets them all. 3, to be precise. A incredible round victory, as mentioned. Hey, fortifying that lead you've just grabbed into this half specifically, and cutting the lead to just 1 round. They knew what to do. Wichita, they had the win conditions. They realized, hey, this is a bonus. We just need to make sure that we allow distance. We have the Vandals. We have the Phantoms. Our range is superior. And they fall back to Boathouse. Right decision. And they even win the fights. Well, Gia bails them out.
Killjoy with an ADS Bulldog is basically the same thing as their sentry turret, since they all do the 1, 2, 3 spread. So, or rather the burst fires. So, unfortunate for the Shockers because they definitely had the player advantage as well as the weapon diff, but Algia doing big things with the Bulldog that I always wish I could. Basically a battle rifle from Halo, but sadly it doesn't hit the same way for me. Noble's gonna walk it out, be the last one remaining, but this has already been a rotation that's trying to strike back at B.
A little bit of a forward position in Catwalk, Wichita State realizing that the evacuation has already occurred at A, and they're inching their way back towards B. No commitment just yet. That's going to be the first guaranteed info that they're here. Second player joining the site just now and getting cut off, but they fall almost immediately. 2 in 1 shot.
Someone's gonna hold down Anchor and Algia again. They're gonna have to clear this player, and they just often can't. Off of at least a single snapshot, Algia just holding this position, and then it becomes one ghost in a haunted house, and they're gonna be ghost busted as the gang drops only 1 player. Huskies now get themselves in a great tie, fighting back 4 in a row. We're gonna be going to a timeout, so Vincent, all right. They're doing this because this is going to be a big rifle round. Sometimes I see it used on eco, sometimes onto rifles, but we go into where Shockers feel if they lose it here, obviously this will be like another 2-round turn, and it would get the Huskies to 10 almost inevitably.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things that I want to see from Wichita. The first is that, number 1, I want to see them figure out some mid control a little bit differently. Not that Siena are taking too much advantage of it, but it's for that precise reason that I think Wichita could take that space, could find some quicker rotations. The second thing that I want to see, though, is I want to see them more committed to this defensive aggression. We've seen it over at A, even in that last round, some tentative tapping and poking and prodding at finding that information, but as soon as they get a little bit of info, they fall away. And that's the safe play. But at this point, safe isn't working. Gotta go for the big hit straight out the ballpark.
But your big hitters have to hit. And so far, they've been losing those opening contact plays. And what ultimates do we have? We're kind of 1 away or just a couple away from nearly everything with SHU. You do have the Hunter's Fury. A couple are primed, nearly good to go. Skeeb's a couple from their lockdown, so they can't really rely on much of that. The kit, though, is replaced onto A, and much the opposite of how they've at least peeked beyond the veil of A main. They hear the ult orb getting picked up from this position, and they're going to use the Owl Drone to really at least get a good look-see. They know the dark cover is down. Sight's free, air quotes, as they will take on Door. Now they finally work for the plan.
Yeah, this is a good read of the situation. Siena, they haven't necessarily had a free entry into this site on many other rounds, but they read it well. Get back into position. They have that Hunter's Fury that you mentioned as well for the post plant, should it be necessary. They've got that Sova all the way back in Gelato.
Ooh, but Zona able to pick up a wall bang, and now they're actually using this for the entry. They don't even have to deny it, as they're just going for big picks. But Wichita State is winning that battle, as Noble's the only one left alive. They at least get the first one, and now they're just walking straight up, but it's Cams that was prepared, gun already in hand, and the Shockers retake control. I like the idea of using the Hunter's Fury as soon as the prep time to crash to site was occurring to really do some extra damage. Then you basically gave up your trump card, but I guess you're doing that because if everyone falls anyway, then what's the point?
I mean, it's a tough decision. I'll say that. Not a clear win condition when things start to fall apart, and I think that's why we saw Noble try and take things into their own hands, try to find something out of nothing. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out so well for them. The lead, as mentioned, back in Wichita's favor. The buy, on the other hand, it's very much still here for Siena Heights. They aren't out of this by any means. They even have a no command, a Blade Storm. They're not going to be used, that Blade Storm, in this round more than likely. Here's that aggression we were just talking about. Getting a forward position, finding some more space. Sui doing just that for the defense at B.
They poke out, and Algia will at least know. Shock Dart, it's gonna body you at least a little bit. They took 3 guns out of hands from the Shockers, so this was far more expensive. Not exactly most optimal of weaponry, but this is a patient play. They have one teaser of their Sova onto A for the Huskies. Noble just chilling around. But this is actually a full play to bring that null command. They're going to use the paranoia to clear that hut, but it's Sui that gets rid of Sona. That's a major duelist off the field.
A little bit of information gathering. Oh no, Truman should have been known. Still gets away with one before falling. 3-on-3. That 0 point does give a lot of information about how close the retake is. All three heading from CT and making life more difficult for Siena. Noble going to be cut out by this dark cover. And as soon as this recon bolt goes through, his position going to be well known. Gets no tags on it. Algia falls. The 1-for-1. T-Man, a massive frag, and falls back away into the boathouse. For now, locked out with the fragment. No way to get back in for Noble. He's going to have to try and walk his way up. Meanwhile, isolating the duel. Thiessen doing all the right moves. And Noble, this is not planned for him. The shock dart doesn't do it.
Oh.
Thiessen holding! And Thiessen nearly got there, but Noble delivers in the final moments.
Oh, pros don't fake. They were holding it. I love that move, but Thiessen just couldn't finish it off before they finally got the spam spray through the box. Wow. Okay. This has gotten even peskier and feistier for the Huskies, but for Wichita State, this is actually rough because they rebought back into that round after dropping those 3 guns from the previous, and it was that close of a bank. Now they're basically in this weird eco. You're gonna have a judge on cams. They're not gonna be able to have full use out of it because it is another push onto B. They're gonna be sprinting across the map with a weapon they really aren't gonna be able to use unless they somehow get tricky. And honestly, this is SHU huge chance to finally get a game lead.
One of the things I'm really liking about the Huskies' style of play, Monkey Man, is that they're not getting too fancy. A lot of teams, they try and get overzealous in some of these moments, and when they have an advantage, they just walk into the site. Unfortunately, that advantage is falling apart. That judge, always dangerous in the blaze, even more so.
In the updraft, be able to get one. Why not go for some of the big duels? It becomes a 2v1. But you're going to play for life, have a weapon pickup. Noble has the plant down, but now they get aggressive, swinging on out. Oh, they get it as a collat. Sui and Truman get to hold hands and die together, as that's a massive play by Noble playing a man down.
Listen, 2 things true at once. First of all, fantastic play from Noble. Second of all, absolutely did not deserve that second kill. He was behind the wall and just running headshot random. Oh, that's too funny. You love the game of Valorant for that reason. Exactly. Sometimes that's the way it happens. Look at this. There's absolutely no way this is actually auto. Yeah. No.
What? That was purely skill. What do you...
Hey, listen, you get the win. Full credit.
Wow. Good looks, and thank you to our production for that awesome replay. And look at this space that's been stolen by Truman. They're going to walk through the fragment and immediately taking down T-Man. None of this space taken up for free, though. Oh my goodness, a super fast round, trying to set a land speed record for the quickest that they can be. It becomes 10-10. Wichita State strikes back. What a counter.
And that's something that I mentioned in the pause that I'd like to have seen from Wichita State, because Siena Heights are giving up quite a bit of mid-control. They aren't necessarily aggressing there every round. They had some players in tiles, as you would expect, but it was a little bit of a soft spot in their defense, exposed by Wichita State, and sealing this up to a 10-10 scoreline, this going the distance. No stop in sight.
Blaze Storms get popped. That one not to play for Sona, as now the Huskies feel they've kind of dropped just enough for it to be dangerous, especially because the last few rounds has been down to the last man for them. They got to build up a tiny bank on the other side of it. Wichita State waiting it out. And I didn't know that alarm bots reset themselves, so that's actually pretty cool to see. The Hunter's Fury will get used, and they're just kind of spreading the love. They did identify that they're all the way over at B, so that ultimate ends up being kind of an intel play as well, to know that they got to rotate, but not just yet, because they actually have one teasing them, especially as the Owl Drone for Noble is looking for heads to pop.
Noble carrying so much water right there. This is a 0 point that's going to give away the gambit, though. All 4 of the remaining Siena Heights players has found out, and Thiessen with some incredible shots. The judge not good enough to close the distance. Siena doing their best to get the plant down. They'll get there, but they have a lot of work to do. 2v5.
Algia did get at least one rifle to bring into the round, kind of a hero play, but everyone gets cleared. A flawless will be confirmed, and no one drops. Wichita State bouncing back, not just in the previous round. They took Coach Vincent's advice, went for mid, and just ran it out. But then they also were able to take advantage of this eco. The should win became everyone staying standing. So in this flawless, they put themselves 2 away from this first game. Vincent, that's got to feel like a strong position, because if SHU does lose this one, it goes to Wichita on map point, and they in a terrible bye.
Indeed. What does that flawless mean? What does that mean for the scope of this game, Monkey Man? That flawless means that if you lose here, though, Wichita State, you're okay.
Yeah.
It's not the worst of buys. You're not sitting sheriffs only or something like that. You have chances to continue to make investments even throughout the rest of this game. But hey, just win right here, right now. That's got to be the plan. But that game plan up against an operator in the hands of Sui.
Any little pixel, anything at all. The owl drone, they saw him. Sui ready for that turn. That tail one. Oh, man.
Don't want that smoke.
Nah. Not the cloudburst, not the knives, not the operator. There, that's cool and all, but they're a pretty good shot. We're gonna walk away from this one. If they wanted to, because of the owl drone seeing that, and there is gonna be a reposition of that op, they could double back and just say, nah, we're teasing, we're coming back. We'll see you.
Look at the adjustment for the operator, though. They know that the op's seen over at A, so they're going to adjust towards mid. That's currently where Sui is located, and that means a fast rotation as well when and if this B hit comes forward. Monkey Man, Siena Heights, they're in some trouble.
Try and crash through. You're going to have 2 deep into house, and that's where both Killjoy and there's Sova. Often doesn't matter which combo, be it SHU or Wichita, they back up into. The Cloudburst is going to get used, but Skeebs ruins Sona. Now they're trying to go onto the walkway. Skeebs coming up with 3. Now they're getting hungry. Now they're getting malicious. They've got a 4th right around the corner. No, the ace will be ruined. Algia going to spin that turn, but they spin too far. Looking at their teammates, and now up against it. Huskies on the ropes in the kennel. And it's going to be Wichita State, the Shockers, on map 1 point.
We've seen a Killjoy doing a turret impression before. Algia made it work from B main. This time it's Skeebs from the site, doing all of the damage required to put Wichita State up to 12. Their map pick, remember, and a very tight game it has been all the way through. Not yet over, but a good chance to close it right here. The timeout for Siena Heights. Must win round for them. Map 1 of a grand final. You know what it means. It's all about momentum, and winning your map, winning the first map, is what can kick off a phenomenal grand final, or a loss. We know how that can go.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be rough, and that's where the coaches come in. That's like, hey, everyone be kosher. You knew that this one was going to be a tough fight regardless. Ascent was going to be kind of even Stevens, and it's been very tight the entire way. And both these teams, they said that all 5 players, at least for the most part, new to teaming with each of these programs, and it's cool to see that that's presented themselves a very tight venture. But again, look at that buy. You have Noble that has the Hunter's Fury. Piggy's got the From the Shadows that they want to reposition out, but it is a rough situation, and the bullets that will be flying. An operator, where's Sui? They're going to be out in mid. They're going to try and steal space. They could turn this into an absolute speed run depending on if they get picks, but there's no one there to find them just yet. Oh!
Siena Heights, they've been sticking together, and they do it here once again. 4-1. That's the split as they walk towards A. The aggression denied. Wichita State finding themselves down a man in the early stages of this round. What could inevitably be the final one if Wichita can pull this off. Down 1, not the best way to do that from.
Paranoia prepped, and that's actually to give them an extra chance to walk into tree if they wanted to. The Hunter's Fury is getting used to clear out space, and Noble gets rid of Thiessen, who was just locked in Cubby. Now with 2 big picks, this gives the Huskies a great chance to just get into sight, and it looks like they will do so. They're going to clear out box. They're going to TP in with the From the Shadows just to at least give them some extra confirmed intel. Skeebs gets rid of Algia, trying to at least catch up in the personnel department.
Well, that catch-up game, it's still a going. Skeebs going to put down that lockdown. The aggression, though. Taking the fight. Piggy gets the trade. That was what was required. There's another one there, but Skeebs is doing it all on his lonesome team and through the wall, but gets traded. Wichita State, they've done it. The defuse will come in, and Skeebs, though not alive, the MVP of that last round. 13-10, the final score.
Wild times out there, and what a comeback nature that both these teams really have to them. And then kudos, honestly, in game 1, going over to the Huskies as they were trying to get their way back to it at one point in time for just a round. It was 10-9. They were able to have the lead for a round. And then ultimately the Shockers just took life by the horns. They did exactly what Coach Vincent said over here. They said, you know what? Mid, why not? Lay them out. Let's go out there, let's play, and let's be able to knock at their door and just slam it home. So great job to Wichita State. They did an excellent job just securing this first map.
Yeah, Siena Heights, I think the way that they approached their attacking side was smart, but Wichita, credit where it's due, they were able to recognize and adjust their game plan in order to play more of a retake setup at times, and when that wasn't possible, they were able to delay long enough to allow rotations to come in, because let's be real, how many times did Siena fake a site? I don't think they did. I don't think they ever did.
No.
They were always committed wherever. Now, contact, sure, that was happening elsewhere, but whenever you saw 2-3 players, that's where the hit was coming, and Wichita State recognized that late into that game, despite Siena Heights finding a lot of success in the early stages of the second.
Maybe we can promote a bit of dishonesty, deception, and if there's ever a map to do it on, it's going to be on the 3-set map. On the other side of this break, we're going to be finding ourselves going to map 2 of Haven. Stick around, the ECAC finals will be back right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the ECAC Fall Finals as presented by Esports U. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside Vincent, and we just got done with a crispy map number 1, all on Ascent. It went 13-10, that one in the favor of the Shockers. And, I mean, you said it a second ago, Vincent, this was a battle of similar agency at the top, and a lot of it came from Truman, but we really had the Germans at the top on both sides.
Yeah, the Killjoys dominating when it came to either squad, and normally it's a bad thing when you get called a bot. And this time, though, it's an aim bot that these guys had. It seemed like it at the very least. They were dominating throughout, and whether that was Algia on the side of SHU or Skeeps on the opposition there for Wichita State. I mean, look at these stats. They're insane. That ACS number, I mean, listen, at times, I feel like it shouldn't go that high.
You know, that's never a number that I hit, so I don't even believe that number is real for most ACS scores. I've seen some get crazy, but this was Skeeps, I think, that really kind of pulled it out to finish off the end of that map, because Truman was holding everything down on attack, and then defensively they started to wane, but that's when they were able to come into their true form. Algia proving that the burst fire is apparently OP as long as you can actually hit your shots, unlike some of us. But we move away, and we move into map number 2. It's going to be Haven, where a Killjoy can shine. I don't know. Do you like to switch up your Sentinel agency here? Because I like Cyphers, and I've seen the reconvene when it comes to Chambers come back to this map.
I've always actually been a Cypher fan on this map. I know that everybody, you know, the Killjoy is where to go. That's what we've been told. That's what we've been seeing forever nowadays. But I don't hate the Cypher. What I do not particularly love is I do think that the Chamber is not quite as strong as the Jet here, but it is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's serviceable. I think you can just find a little bit more success, though, with a Jet. But what it does allow you to do is pull out the Rays.
Yeah, it's very true. And that's what we're going to be seeing, at least from the Huskies. You're going to get Sona into the Rays, and we're going to have a hungry Sentinel, as Noble will be picking up that Chambers. So you don't have kind of your typical controller to the Initiator, as well as T-Man will be playing around the Astra. So it's more of a chess piece game than a dynamic smoke game around them. Opposite of that, it's a bit more atypical, or regular rather, not atypical, the opposite of that, as the Shockers will be at least looking towards the Jet as well as Omen, but double controller and off of the Sky. Okay, so when it comes to the double controller, I've actually not seen Viper to Omen to Haven. That seems like a permanency set that you would get kind of with a Harbor. What's your take to that?
I mean, I've seen quite a bit of it. The Viper Omen, I was listening to an interview a little bit ago. I forget with who, but the thought process that I was hearing was, if you're not running Viper on most maps, you're throwing. Now, whether that extends to Haven is a topic of conversation, we'll just say. You know, I don't think it's a guarantee by any means, but what I do think is interesting is that it can really allow you flexibility with regard to how you play the B site. I think that's what's so strong about it. Not only that, but it can allow you some ideas about how to approach on the attack side, how to approach A long especially. Denying information over there on the cross towards short, that's what's so big, I think, for the Viper.
And that's really where you can take over 2 sets of walls to kind of cover B. I often get my Vipers to kind of cover in from that over to A. Yeah, right there. I also this fun wall, because it gives you kind of entry into sewer if you want to cross for free. It's basically a less, firmer Sage wall. Because it's made of gas, people. It's not at all firm. So we're gonna be having Cam's TP straight up into mid, and that window is just a dangerous place for Sona. They're gonna back off, but the Vipers no more. And the defense right now for SHU, these Huskies are hitting wild and ready. Sell my Algia already finding 4.
Talked about the KJs and how impressive Skeeves was. Algia showing it just is not enough for Skeeves to do the damage in that last map. They're here to stay on Haven. One of the things that I didn't get to mention that I'll bring up right now, it's so impressive about the way that Skeeves was able to have impact in the previous map, is that as a Killjoy, finding victories in all 3 phases of the round, both the early, mid, and late round, was fantastic in the early round, getting those opening picks, 5 first kills. But also, mid-round was having impact and good in the clutch. There was, like, the full gambit being shown there. And that is what Algia just did, having some massive early round impact and then closing it out as well.
You gotta have versatility and really be smart about what you do with your util and its total. Sona is going to clear out Tyson. Obviously, the weapon differential is going over to the Huskies. That's going to be a big right click, and they just basically COD hop to be able to find it. So 1 weapon to gain. Oh, that extra... You have util being thrown at you, trying to go from window, and Algie is just picking up kills like it is a hobby as they find Skeeves from distance, trying to prove they have the superior German engineering.
You know, 7-0 to start, not bad. Just toss it. Not a bad scoreline at all. Well played.
Pretty good.
Everybody else asking, hey, so you want to leave any for us? There is something I do want to bring up, though. This composition, it is missing a Sova or a Sky, but that early info gathering play towards long or towards A in general, that's what's so difficult with this composition. Something to keep an eye on.
They have double anti-alert, basically. Oh, and wow, had no idea that that tiny little pixel of a crosshair was in fact on someone's dome. How could you? How could you ever know? That's gonna be, oh yeah, TP away from the Australian dog. No reason to stick around and waste a golden bullet. Those things are expensive, but Noble has no TP away. They get flashed and they get dead as Thiessen finds them lacking.
Okay, and we've already just seen the danger of not having that information gathering ability. The commitment to that fight is exactly what you would have maybe had a recon bolt for, or like a guiding light.
Oh, this great combination. They're forcing Truman to have to hop away, and they're kind of stuck there as T-Man gets rid of their, I guess, counterpart of the T plus M naming combinations. Look at the crash, crunch, and just dismay straight on through. Skeeves finally ruining T-Man as the plant will come about, but it has been the flawless venture the first 2 rounds. Can they find 3 more to turn this into a 10-0 score?
It's be a tough task, a valiant effort. Little stack up there is an intelligent way of making life difficult. Wichita State picking up their first. I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's of the utmost importance.
Okay.
So, we have T-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that T-Sun and T-Man are related?
They were in a family picture together. I saw it before the broadcast. So,
Oh, well,
yeah.
clearly.
And they had T-Mom with them as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the uncle true man?
Ooh. So wait, is there a false man as well? Untrue?
That's what I'm saying. Presumably there is. We just got, but because it's false man, like they're hard to find.
Yeah. Really kind of just hiding out. Which we've seen some hideouts in some of these big util combinations. You saw the well off of the paint shells, and then the same thing was being used off of the fault line and paint shells. Really good connections, and honestly become set piece plays from this defense, but the Huskies have already dropped their first, as it's been a dangerous venture right now for Noble. Been very aggressive on this chamber as he's trying for these hard angles to get these initial picks.
Talking about the risks of getting control there for SHU out towards long, that combination, the gravity well and the paint shells, is one way of lessening the risk. Unfortunately, as we saw this round, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win that gunfight, but it's always a question. Fully exited the C site is SHU. They're locked out of it and locked in. Wichita State making their way through.
trying to give themselves free entry. If there were a sniper hiding out behind big box on left, well, they would have to be inside of a snake pit, or some snake bite rather. So now it becomes a 4v5. Wichita State in a very strong position, especially because Skeebs is just ratting themselves out, having to hop along, no armor left on the door, and now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Algia does clear at least cams. T-Sin making T-Man and T-Mom very, very proud. Off of this turn, you get blinded from the flashpoint. It's a 1v3. They're just getting scrappy with it. Guiding Light turns all the way around. Maybe a right click from this classic, and that eventually gets the job done. T-Sun, everyone's proud of him. Round of applause for T-Sun.
Yeah, a little pat in the back. Nicely done indeed. That leading the Wichita State squad into a tied scoreline. We'll say Siena Heights finding pistol victory and everything does set them up well, but as soon as I saw this composition, I was wondering how they were going to maintain long control, and that's been the biggest issue. So many resources having to go into it, and I know I keep going back to this same well, but it's a problem for the moment for Siena Heights.
Assuming they've been able to find some level of adaptation to get the poison orb lineup to at least take away that early peak. And because they're playing onto this eco, they know they're going to be stacked up together, trying to steal space into mid. And that now it's going to be full retake, and you're going to be just low on Arsenal. Sui. Oh, they get God! Soda through the cloud burst just domes them.
That's outrageous. Soda just times it up perfectly. And that's going to be the spike denied for the moment by those paint shells. They've delayed beautifully. Lockdown gonna further delay and deny all things spike. The moment, and even detained. Uh-oh, bad news. This is winnable. 4 on 3.
Oh, and a showstopper.
Oh.
Sona coming in massive. Truman has no idea that they have a wealth of enemies right around the corner from them. If they just turn left, they're going to find a target gallery. Skeebs going to hard entry. They heard off the gunshot, so they got to be ready for it into this 2v3. They're all behind that mid box, and there's actually a lurk flank right behind them. T-Man clears Skeebs, and Truman has to clear the world. They have 2 in front of them on site as it is poking and prodding. As they come up long, they're separated from Spike, trying to at least win their 1s. They can't win their 2s as Piggy comes up with the final cleanup. And you know what? If you're worried about this composition, sometimes it just comes down to the gun duels.
I mean, hey, a little luck as well.
Yeah.
You know, taking that shot, you're going to spam that how many times in a map of Haven? Probably 30, 40, you know? And you'll get no kills, especially with just a sheriff. But Sona winds it up. Perfectly played, but it's taking advantage of those lucky moments, those fortunate opportunities that define greatness. And Siena Heights do it right there, grabbing back the lead. It's all theirs. Remember, leads were a difficult thing for them to find in that previous map. They now have it once again.
Noble still coming up with empty hands. They're 0-3-1 right now. They've got an operator that's been sussed out. It's in sewer, so they're just not going to go that way. B very much is the opening play. You do have stars planted. At least one was outside the garage. They're going to retrieve that and reset, as this is going to be a setup to go back over. They're going to deny at least the default plant, but it will still be a B strike. Sui with deep insurgency all the way out to the C side. They get 1. They turn away just as Sona also does turn in.
Sona gonna get confirmation that nobody back gong for the moment. Noble, this operator, was re-aggressing, walking through and walking out of this round. Cam's doing it ×2. Paranoia unable to be pulled. 2 on 2. This SHU are making their way back in to the Phantom for Sona, dealing with any further utility, but you can't deal with that snake bite. Truman and Skeebs locking them out, especially as they were easier cannon fodder with that snake bite.
Vulnerability off of that is just so deadly. You take a single step and suddenly everything just hurts a little bit too much. So, like a bad itch, they're cleared out, and Wichita State bounce back. This has been as tight of a contest as we've seen before. Obviously, one of the most practiced maps, much akin to Bind and Ascent off of the Holy Trinity, but right at this moment, it's been kind of momentum based, and I need to see where Noble really kind of comes alive. They're walking all the way up into long, but C and B seem to be where much of this funnel is going because it's yet another eco situation for the Huskies.
You've made me ask a question that I must share. Since we are on an eco, I will ask. What is like the in-world lore for being vulnerable? Like, what does it do to you? You know?
I think you'd like, I mean,
you know what I mean?
It just like feels like cancer. I don't know.
I mean, okay.
You just feel sick.
You,
like
you step in some like acid and you just get cancer.
Yeah, apparently. But it's cured like instantly, you know, because they have the little the watch that's just good for it. Medicine in this world is very good. This is when universal healthcare works, I guess. As Cams is giving out their own dose of healthcare in the form of U.S. healthcare. 3 kills immediately. Sona does drop, and Noble finally is able to pick up at least one, but Sui, with a few knives, throws it into the back of the old skull, and Wichita State, against this eco, is able to pick up a round diff.
Yeah, not a real unexpected outcome there for Siena Heights up on the eco. Here we go. Gun round ready to roll. Wichita State back in business, and the lead is theirs. Looking to add some additional numbers to that scorecard at the top. Look at the difference. Noble thinking about aggressing out B this time, and instead they've got a double setup at A. Whew.
They're at least going to put their trademark down, and if they were to crash on the site because the talk screen is set up for it, it would maybe be set up as slow. Guiding light off of outside box, and that's going to squawk and give away that they are still holding on to it. So I like the tentativeness. They're waiting for the pick for the lone sentry that's left behind, and to see if they can get value onto it before they immediately march. So they force the util to sit down, and that's going to at least be some timers that SHU has to deal with. But well, those cooldowns all get devised. Wichita State actually peels away and thinks about either on a re-hit or a turn to C.
You should run.
The good news, the cooldowns for Wichita State going to be certainly less impactful, less problematic. Full clear of this B site with the lockdown into position. One caught out is Noble. Is trying to walk away there out of danger. Thiessen will punch and get the spike down into the ground. 5-on-4, and Skeeb's holding back the rotate through door with the Viper's Pit on B.
Oh, man. Basically just getting hit with a pipe. Oh, Cams, again, continuing to find huge picks. The guy in the light's going to scale over. It's a 5v1. They know where they are, and they're getting hit from all sides. A flawless as Skeebs plays clean up to the once unbridled fury of Algia that has gone from tiger to kitten purrs. And let's really kind of check out what's coming in. Exactly what I'm expecting, especially just over the midway mark here of the first half. We go to a timeout, and we've got some ults getting prepped and ready for SHU that they really need to find some value behind, especially because now they're going right back to the eco bin.
Gotta say, I'm loving what Wichita State is also doing. The way they're approaching this attack side, putting to good use that Viper wall, making the B side a lot more approachable. That last round, a bit of a head fake, right? We've seen some pressure being applied to the B side here and there for Wichita State, and they do the same thing the last round, but this time they reinvest, recommit off the lockdown almost immediately. I really like the way that we're seeing that approach be taken. It's been incredibly effective, and it helps that Cams. We talked a lot about Skeebs starting out this 7-0. I was Algia. I apologize, but I'm getting callbacks to Ascent. I'm like still seeing it in my head. But talking of Cams has been consistent. Those multi-kills in the last round, we saw some mid-round kills in a couple of the previous rounds, and it's not as if it's like massive 3-4 Ks, but it's the 2 kills that matter to get that round locked in.
Any good omen really never picks up a huge KD at the top of the scoreboard. They're mostly about those big lurks and those big individual plays. Oh, Sui cutting down space. Sona again. It doesn't matter where smoke is there or not. They're able to get a headshot through it. Oh, you have the rolling thunder, and now they're able to get rid of Skeeps. You have the showstopper. There's gonna be some damage applied. Thiessen probably like, man, I survived it. That's pretty cool. Otherwise, they're trying to hold down in distance with cams, protecting them for maybe some re-entry. And Cams has been able to find at least some of these big picks. They got to feel like some of this rotation is going to go away. Oh, but off of the pop! Sona's good for 3.
Mentioned how imperative it was to get impact from the Rolling Thunder. Impact found. HP low. Siena Heights, this is by no means a guarantee. If you look at the health bars, that dark cover perfectly placed to isolate these duels.
Not prepared for the immediate put in. And you know, SHU T-Man, you know, if you put those letters together, he's shut man. And he shut him down. That's all I'm going to say because that's the way I saw it. So, okay. All right. Good strike back. That was actually a very thin buy for the Huskies. They had Sheriffs, but it came off of massive value. And again, how many times have we seen it be Sona that finds that first pick, be it good fortune or otherwise, that turns into momentum swinging for the SHU?
Plenty enough, and we shall see if momentum continues to swing this way. And that, the way that this composition works, the easy swing back over towards C is what can allow these C hits to be dealt with. And Algia, given the chance, doing it once again. Skeeves answering back, and T-Man gets there just in time to leave Truman all alone on the 1v3.
Truman doesn't have to worry about gadgets. They can pass by the alarm bot. They know that they noticed Noble. Noble doing a very sneaky thing. They didn't go directly to the site. They're playing actually from this off angle. They get seen by Truman, but that's going to give away the final intel of where they can just kind of squeeze between all 3 of them. And Sona is going to get that last kill. So, where we see separation, quickly the door is closed shut. The Huskies get right on the heels of the Shockers. And honestly, like, Algia had a great opening couple of rounds. It's great to be able to see everyone come back up for SHU. You said that they were like, hey, leave some for us, and they've quickly gathered that up. It just took, 8 more rounds.
Well, I mean, let's also mention that Wichita State hasn't gone to the C site where Algia is playing. So
yeah,
that's been another difficulty, at least getting more involved for Algia, given the opportunity, delivering the multi-frag required. Back towards A. This is where success has been found most for Wichita State, and for good reason. Noble, it's difficult to hold this off all alone. T-Man with a massive victory. Cam's falling in mid allows a lot of support and rotations to A.
Noble all the way into this nebula, and they're actually away from their TP, so the rendezvous not even an option, but they're not clearing that corner. Not quite sure about that. I don't think they had anything else to look at. Now Noble just taking care of business. You had the Pathfinder, and they're just going to go around this mid box, and it becomes a cat and mouse game. Thiessen on the swing. They get rid of the Frenchman, but Piggy does opposite of them, and the lockdown gets expended. Not quite sure onto that play. Ends up causing a bit of panic. And they won't have that for the next round, but hey, a win's a win, and a lead is a lead. Huskies finally steal it from the Shockers.
And sometimes it's worth it just to ensure. Have the backup plan just in case things start to go wrong. And that's one of those situations where, yeah, it's expensive. Not to mince words, but Algia gets the confirm on the round, and that's well worth its weight in gold. 7-5, a possibility. Be phenomenal for Siena Heights to make their way into the lead for halftime, but Wichita State, they are just as close as anybody else, and that's one way to stamp your foot down. Sui says no to the tour de force.
one of the most expensive guns that you could buy, regardless, as it took extra energy and extra gold plating just to acquire it, but that one's gonna run away from it. So as the plant does come through, you have one up in heaven, and they already have the Cosmic Divide all prepped up, but that's actually gonna just force them to be at distance and or to be directly on site. Seekers to see where everyone else is coming from. Guess what? It's all in link. The poison orb is down. This is an open heaven site, but Skeeves knew exactly what they were doing, but it becomes a huge trade. Oh man, Wichita State, we're all tied up before we flip halves.
I mean, and how much of this is unexpected? None in my book. We saw how close it was, despite Wichita State keeping the lead for the vast majority of the time on Ascent. This game was never a question of closeness. It was always just who was going to edge it out, and that's been the storyline here of Haven as well. Cams, though, leading the charge alongside Skeeves on the Wichita State side is the big difference. Got to see the continuation of that, and I've been impressed with the Omen there for Wichita. The Huskies onto the attack side. Now the question is, there was some weaknesses for the for the defense side. Is this a better attack comp, do you think?
I don't know. I think there's a reliance on what you get out of your breach. The greatest thing about this comp is that you literally nothing should flank you. Never. Ever. If that happens, where did you put your util? Like in spawn?
There is only certain amount of places that you can go, and there is everything could be covered.
Yeah. Ugh. But Wichita State, they're gonna give up B. B has been one of the tightest contended first round and first or second halves because of just no weaponry and way less util to have to deal with. And that tuck screen really is of no value now if it's kind of in the open door. It does at least keep the window section. Cams, is able to survive. Both him and Piggy just moving around each other. Algia finds two, though, and Noble and the gang are trying to clean up right around the corner. Truman upgrading. At least between a couple of guns, they see the pop jump peek, and they're going to at least fake it out, but they get hit by the fault line. They were only a foot away from maybe being able to take an even duel. Instead, T-Man will be able to win it with util, and that's the Huskies taking this first.
Back-to-back pistol round wins for the Huskies as well. Keeping that in mind, remember they were split 1-1 back on Ascent. Getting those 2 pistol rounds can really boost your chances of success in the long term on a map, particularly in the game of Valorant. We'll see Sui on to a Marshall, otherwise a pretty standard eco round. Marshall disinvested? Not so interested.
No. They're like, I want to save like maybe 200 creds or so.
I would have real guns.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wild West style. This is how you really pop heads. Oh boy, a little bit of damage. As surrounded on all sides, Algia plays clean up onto Cams. They see Sui, and this actually could be a trick, but they get soft right click out of Thiessen. They'll get rid of one, and that's the big value. Truman's right behind him. No one cleared corner. They're right. Okay, they're just waiting. Wait.
Will anybody clear it?
No, they won't. They get a free gun. Oh, nothing's gonna get picked up. Team Ace acquired. That was the wackiest no check I've ever seen.
Unfortunately, has anything but a classic, that's suddenly winnable. With a classic, I mean, it's tough. Difficult situation. I will say, though, Wichita State doing more damage with the classics and 3 sheriffs than I would have expected. They've made this bonus round not so bonusy. It's more like a, well, let's just hope we win kind of round.
With as narrow of corridors as some of these entries are onto Haven, it's winnable, but I also have a love-hate relationship with Spectres, as I don't think they actually do the damage that they're said that they do. So, it really kind of depends. You can put this Nebula out.
Valorant a liar?
Look, I'm just saying.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes it is. They don't know what they're talking about.
You're saying John Wyatt would lie to you?
Yes, every day of my life. Exactly like that. Skeeves finds 2. Guess what they were holding? Spectres. But yeah, I know they have a Vandal. That's fine.
Headshots galore with Skeeves in that Vandal. Cams. That smoke fades, so our cover gone. It's Cams lining 2 up in a row. And, I mean, I don't think the Spectre would have mattered regardless. Could have had a Vandal there and would have been dead as well.
I guess you can get a kill if no one's looking at you.
Hopefully.
Separated from Spike. Noble's gonna get blinded. They know pretty much where to crash down on. They don't want to lose too many weapons if they can, and Cams makes that very comfortable with a 3K. So it was the weapon diff. We're gonna go into the 16th round with Wichita State. Typically, having gone 2-2 in all of these openers for the first 4 of every half, but now we got to dictate whether they find that separation, because this is atypical versus the previous map where they had an 8-4 differential. They're trying to actually catch up.
Exactly. It's also different in that Siena Heights able to really add to that lead. I mean, I think they won the first 6 rounds of the second half. They won 5 of them.
Yeah.
This time, Wichita stopping it immediately. Cams love this corner. It's dangerous, don't get me wrong, but so very effective. Pulling the entirety of those bullets the other way. Still doesn't find a kill.
That's timing about when you peak, though. If you go immediately, then you better be hitting that snapshot, because they're all looking in. You put the ounce of doubt about if someone's off of link to see versus into that double box. But very astute are the Huskies. They will pick off Cams, who has been a massive impact player. And now they at least will lean one into B. That's all of a feint, as they see if they can get one pick and then maybe crash in. That Spike is set up for A, where they have all of one player ready to receive. But Sona goes down, so A looks like more of a sure thing.
And I like that swing as well. Thiessen was there just in case to get the refrag. Instead, not necessary. And it's a 4-on-4. Sui, info needed about when and how to get out if you're winning. If they swing, there's the swing. Gotta get out. Tapping away. Looking for more. Going back for another shot. Has too many opportunities. How have they allowed Sui to take these shots from heaven? It's like not going to be committed, but the flash will be perfect. Guiding Light leads the way for Thiessen's double kill. 8-8. We're tied once again.
That's one of those tough situations, because you know if you begin to plant, you have, what, 13 seconds? And then if you allow the jet to just kind of draft out and just hold spacebar and become a floating turret, then it becomes just a fight on many different three-dimensional angles. So great job by Wichita State, set to receive into that rifle round. And now the Huskies, they go to their own eco. Algia having that lockdown can open up some space if they choose to commit. That's kind of a low sewers position play. And actually could be very advantageous if they want to use this onto A, because this is held by all of a Sky.
Yeah, so don't have the Sova. That's the difference between the Sky and the Sova. Recon Bolt can get you a lot more information. You got to be more active about dealing with it. Here, just that Guiding Light doesn't give you that info if you're not going to move forward initially. And that means that Thiessen is without knowledge.
Read a book. Are you literate enough to know how words are said? Thiessen. Oh, they're actually going to lose that fight. Piggy comes up huge. Both Thiessen and Cams drop, and T-Man doing the same thing. A very profitable round so far for the Huskies, as they're going to be squeezed now into this 2v2 north and south side, but weapons will be upgraded, and Sui and the gang gotta know. Truman gonna try and clear at least that mid box with the snake bite, but they're getting aggressive. They're gonna sneak into heaven.
I love this decision making. Algia has the lockdown. They know that they can put the pressure on, but they gotta deny this plant, or rather to defuse. Truman gets that first, and it'll be Truman to get them both, actually. Oh, okay. I guess we'll wait.
You just get to stare at a halved Spike, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they got plenty of time. It does not matter.
There we go.
But let me just go back to it real fast. I love the decision making from Siena Heights to take space. They knew that they were getting flanked. Whatever the info that they got, however they knew it, they were aware, and they had heard the shots coming from heaven. So just walk clearing the angle taking it together, ensuring that they have some space to work from, and giving position in order to put down that lockdown, checking all the boxes there for me in the post plan.
Yeah, and then because that either forces them to clear from out of heaven and get hurt as they drop, and that, I mean, that's already just passive value. Or now you have a fight coming from out of stairs, or you have to go even further away. A lot of delay on time. Very smart for them. Oh man, Noble and T-Man, Teason and Sui, completely out of commission. I mean, they were looking for more intel, for more knowledge, for more of just anything, but they got nothing but dead. And now becomes Truman left on a 1 versus 4. This was a fast execute.
Siena Heights going back to what worked for them so well at the beginning of their attack side on Ascent, sticking together, playing for those opening frags, but Truman is putting together a retake, a 3rd kill here, 1 HP, dropping down, a dangerous place to be, but he can hit the headshot! He does! Truman with a 1v4.
That should have worked! Wild, to say the least. Just what a clutch up by Truman. 1v4, make it absolutely easy looking as they just had the great spray transfer, found the initial pick, and what an idea. You had that cross. They both knew they're either coming in from Link or out of that window. They found the right pick, and as they backed up, knew that one was coming. You see him shaking away, just the air hop out of sight from the paint shells. Oh, that's some nerve right there.
Superb movement. I mean, here's the reality, though. How is he allowed to isolate these duels? Absolutely, just faking them out. Absolutely crazy. And this is where, unfortunately, Sona, you just got to hit those. I mean, credit due to Truman, no doubt. But you do got to hit those, Sona. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's losing your ones in the worst way when all the team was like, yeah, we're fine, right?
I mean, everybody else was trying to swing on each other. Like, they were trying to swing together. They just couldn't.
Oh,
they
wow.
got baited.
Yeah. Just a bit of window dressing done by Truman and everyone. So, that timeout, very much necessary, because here's the fact of the matter. You're going to be going into, apparently we may have a hero rifle that's coming out there. Tech pause instead. So, okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. So we did have that need for it, but it's also kind of a heat check because you just had 1v4 lost. You're going to be down 2. Your eco is going to be looking rough. And if you cannot pull this out of the gutter, considering how well the finishing form of Wichita State was on Ascent, you're going to be going to a Lotus situation where you have to reverse sweep a best of 5, and that's a lot of Valorant to play, and you got to keep motivated that whole time.
Yeah, here's where I'm at. Motivation a big problem because nothing more frustrating, especially a team like Siena who know what they're doing. They know that they messed up big time, allowing Truman to get into that position. You know, the 1v1 there, missed shot, it happens. But for Truman to be able to isolate 3 duels before that, mistakes were indeed made. Now you gotta keep your mentality such that you're still in a winning thought process, that you're not giving it up.
No. And I don't believe that they're going to be selling on this one either. This actually a little bit of a tech pause. Now on the restart gives such great position for the Huskies to just be confident. Now, very smart is Wichita recognizing that Noble wants to be a bit cheeky, be aggressive and move up into mid or move up into any of these positions. And so they're going to play off of the controllers. They got 2 of them, so why not at least play for some smokes? And they're going to repel the initial push. And if this round were to fall for the Huskies, it will be 11 for the Shockers, and they're going to have a terrible bin of, well, not very much cash.
Slow approach for these Huskies. They're going to make their way up long. That's the guiding light that gives the information. Cosmic Divide goes up. That's going to cut them out of the site. No way back in unless you walk through that Cosmic Divide, which Not a very good idea. And notice the utility on the back of Hell as well. Just to clear that out, T-Man now has position to work with. The lockdown destroyed. And Wichita State asked to retake.
That throw from the Swarm Grenade, make sure they just get rid of him. So you do have the Rolling Thunder getting used as well. A lot of deny, dismay, delay against the Shockers. Gonna try and roll it in. The Seekers come through, Skeebs and Sui, but T-Man up in Hell trying to do some replication of that effort. They get rid of him. Skeebs finds him on the right click. There's gonna be just enough time to get the defuse off, and Wichita State, oh, 0.89, not even close. They find 11.
Wichita State, it all went wrong for them. This is just going to show you how incredible Wichita State are. They lost everything. The lockdown was the first plan of action. That didn't go well. Then they're hit with a Rolling Thunder as they try to get back in, stunned up. They can't find anything, and they still come away with the victory. They find the trades eventually, and T-Man with valiant effort in that 1vx, but it doesn't work out. Wichita looking to put together 2 maps in a row. What a statement that would be.
Trying to make short work of a Tuesday night. Maybe be ready for finals. Give themselves a little bit of extra sleep. Nah, who am I kidding? These guys don't sleep.
Or gamers.
Yeah, gamer hours. That's actually such a great decoy because you know that one is up the ramp. And Noble just kind of waiting for the aggression, but they didn't think it would be so close so soon. Thiessen gets rid of Noble. They've not really been part of the main game plan when it comes to SHU. They really kind of play behind Sona and what picks they can find.
Wichita State posturing as if they don't want to take any more fights, and they don't need to. Just fall back a little bit. Look at that. That utility just available to then re-swing out and find control of Garage. This is a fight in mid that didn't need to be taken, but does cut this into a 3-on-3.
Off the swing, they walk it out. Just get them in a spray as you walk away and make it an easy day. Oh, Sui gets rid of Algia. And that's going to be a great find to put him onto map 2 point. Series and fall semester point could be right around the corner here, Vincent.
Indeed, it could be. And this is a whole best of 5, but when you lose your first map pick, like Siena Heights are on the cusp of doing, things get way complicated way quickly. Here we go. Still in Sui's hand. We saw that at the end of the last round. It's a whole bunch of dogs on the other side for the Huskies. They're heading, at least looking, towards C with a bit of presence applied over in Garage. Here's the showstopper. Gonna lead the charge. Nobody's seen just yet. Sona actually fortunate to find that kill, and it'll be 2 on entry.
Man, Bulldog first plays. Just can't get away from him in this final. Off of the op, Algia taking him down. Good wallbang headshot to random lifeless, and now it's Cams versus the world. See if they can walk into a same 1v4. They've seen their teammate do it with 1 HP. They could probably do it with full armor and more. The dark cover, they consider putting it down immediately, and they're actually going to be playing from cubby and from distance. They have paint shells and they have fault line, and that really would secure it for this. And so I think they're going to tell Cams to walk away. Don't deal with it. Keep that rifle in hand and make sure that we just have a steady bank, and this will be a save to situate at least the Huskies into a longer stand. We go through 21 rounds, not quite out.
It took a explosive play out towards C. We haven't necessarily seen Siena adjust to that type of game plan before. They have actually left C for the most part alone, but I like the adjustment. I like how they're trying to change things up a little bit, but that isn't something that's going to work for them a bunch of times in a row. You can already see they're postured a little bit differently coming into this next round. They're looking to contend out at A-Long, which is a position there is currently no operator located, but there is a Blade Storm.
This is basically a pointy shotgun if you right-click. Gonna hop around. Piggy gets hit. The fault line is not gonna land, and they're gonna have to run away from at least that wall break, but they'll be overgrowthed, and they're gonna play this off precision from the ramp. You poke them, you prod them. Noble's doing the same thing. That's gonna be over to C to begin the process of maybe working Spike up that long entry. And Sui just has to land their shots. Can't quite do so, but they're gonna get the refrag with Thiessen as Sona's dropped. But Noble has an operator, so they could really prepare for post plant, especially. It depends on what Wichita gives up here and how they have to play for retake.
And that's a right play, missed shot moment for Sui over in Sewers, but Siena Heights already know they have the C sign. The spike not quite planted yet, but that'll be coming soon enough. There's a Paranoia to lead the way in. Gravwell doesn't catch anybody. Skeeves gonna drop right down. Aware of it though is T-Man, and Algia does close this out. Time starting to tick low for Wichita State. Their chances to win this map in regulation, not out, but certainly running on empty.
What's going to happen here is that we're going to see a full save out of Wichita State. Well, maybe not. I think they're going to get that loser credit bonus, so they feel a bit gutsy about it. They're going to have Guardians and maybe precision kills prepped for cams and skeeves. Otherwise, they're going to have at least enough for the next buy with the thought process of losing this round being possible. And then that puts them into a fun position. And so they get aggressive off of the blinding lights from that guiding light. T-Man on the swing. You get one pop, good to go. Sui will escape. And they keep their life up 4v4. So, hey, quite winnable. Trying to narrow down these spaces, and they at least get one off the board.
A wrinkle that Wichita State hasn't integrated yet is a long push out towards C. And, you know, this is a round that does lend itself to that type of aggression with the sheriffs and whatnot available to them. Siena Heights successfully warded off from that C area, not from Garage, from applying pressure, putting bullets down range through the double doors. And they'll walk back over.
We crouching together at the same time? They are in full sync here, Vincent. They are doing a dance at that box. But everyone chilling as space is stolen. This territory is actually becoming very slim for both sides. Sona does clear cams, who is an issue no more, and that's when they begin to crash. And though they may be acting in unison, now it's just a big bumble and stumble that's going straight through. Oh, Skeebs missing that tiny window just on the curve of the nebula, and Sui's gonna try and infiltrate from behind.
Well, right then, that's where the alarm bot comes in. Sui will at least get that frag, but cut down to just a couple of bullets. Needs to reload. Will fall back to do that. The HP not particularly that much higher. We're going to regroup together. Sui and Truman walking in from Garage.
Ooh. Now one left alone. Upswing. Noble finally getting some value, but it's not off of being a chamber. It's simply being good. So finally, we come down to this. Vincent, it's gotta be a fist fight from the Huskies. They've got to force OT into a 12-12 because of Wichita State, who was very patient about that previous round, can be able to win this. They're gonna set themselves up in a great series point situation, but it's been streaky at best at times. They had 6 in a row at one point, and the Huskies are trying to grab their 4th to force us into bonus time.
Without an operator to do it, Wichita State need to manufacture some information over at A, and well, that's info gained off the orb grab. Thiessen will be the one to falter. Don't even need to see him. Fortunately, Skeeves is answering the call. This time, it's through the double doors and into grass that death is found. Siena Heights cut to 4.
Rolling Thunder on one side and a lockdown on the other. You have a From the Shadows if they really want to reposition for Wichita. They were actually set to receive anyone that was coming out of A link if this would have been a hard push. They gave up so much of that space considering that Thiessen went down early. And so now, From the Shadows is actually being used for intel.
Massive.
Yeah, that's all right. Where are they at?
Yeah.
It's But this actually, with enough time, allows them to reconvene if they want to swing from that, because they're pulling some of this rotation and they're playing to reset onto B.
Knowing it's not C, the B hit comes in. Rolling Thunder, and it's an adjustment back to A all the way through link. Cams gets away, and the Paranoia to lead him back in with Sui getting the first frag. Paranoia pushes him back, and the spike, it must go down at B. There's no space at A for them to work with. That said, Noble has walked right back in. Cams, you might get a free shot, does indeed. No spike down, it's Noble all alone. He'll have to pull out all the stops. The spike is gonna be lost. Lockdown to try and shut him out. That'll do it. Wichita State, it's 13-11, but they're 2 maps up.
Noble said, "We ball" at the very end. He was like, you know what? I've been sneaking around. I've been looking for a pick over at A. I'm just ready to play Call of Duty and just run it straight in as hard as I can. And they were maybe a half health bar away from being able to secure it to get us over to overtime. And instead, great just repel and then retract and replay by the Shockers. And what do you think about that position? Because it looked like they were priming up B, set themselves up to move to A link because Noble had stolen so much of that long space to get them back over there. But it felt maybe just a bit too aggressive. They could have gone for more of a default to B, but they knew they had to play against a lockdown as well.
Yeah, I think the problem was that they saw the lockdown as an issue. Time was ticking away, and even if that wasn't the bigger deal, they had the space to work with. It was just the fact that Cams got behind the corner and was able to hit him with the Paranoia. If they don't get paranoid, it's no problem, because they'll just trade 1 for 1. That's the plan. Noble gets the kill on A, and they have a post plant. Easy peasy. Instead, Cams saves the game, saves that map, and puts Wichita State up 2 in this best of 5.
In fact, we got stats for Cams as well, as we're going to showcase them. I mean, just not the ACS, but still the impact that you want out of a player like this. If you can get those assists off of your controller, that means they're doing their job the right way. And of course, they were up on the kill feed, maybe top 1 or 2 with everyone. So they had those big impact multi-kill plays that really, I mean, they had some of those on Ascent, but they came even more to the top when it came to this map.
They did, but there's another player that I do have to talk about, and that's Truman. I mean, talk about the biggest impact moment. I think this game, you can argue, was won and lost by that 1v4.
Yeah,
I think that changed the momentum so superbly in Wichita State's favor and gave them the space so that they had that lead for Siena Heights to almost bring it back. If they didn't get that 1v4, we're talking a very different story. I think Siena Heights probably bring it back a little bit earlier, and it's a close game. Could have gone either way. Outrageously strong map from Cams, but Truman had the highlight of the whole map.
Yeah, total game versus highlight MVP play. This entire team right now at Wichita State was looking pretty good. But we're going to our other 3-site map. It could be the last one of the night. On the other side of this break, we're heading to Lotus for more of the ECAC finals. Can they survive? Siena Heights gets to tell us that answer right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the ECAC Finals as presented by Esports U. I'm Hail Monkey Man, and Vincent and I have been showcasing this best of 5, but it's become 2-0. And Vincent, it's Wichita State. They are primed and ready to have these shockers get just done in 3. When you have a fall final, especially for the ECAC, you're expecting it to go the distance, but it's at least been close games.
Yeah, let's be real. It might say 2-0 up at the top, but if you look back at these games, it certainly could have gone either way. There was some key moments in both the first and the second map that allowed Wichita State to find their footing and best the likes of the Huskies. But the issue here for the Huskies isn't that it's Lotus coming up. The issue is that Wichita picked it, and they brought us here.
Yeah, they pretty much planning for the future. So the squad in particular, they're not taking anything too extreme. They're just executing well, and they're doing, pretty much what they have to do, winning their 1s, winning their 2s, and winning everything else above. And hey, you guys could also win more as well, because the ECAC is deciding to kick off a series of giveaways as we go into the holiday season with their Season of Thanks, as they want to thank you. So for December, they're giving away a HyperX Cloud 2 wired headset. So you can type ECAC in the chat, enter on the link, and get a chance to win some awesome headphones and maybe hear us talking to you. In case you don't know how to do that, I think it's like ECA. No, I don't know sign language. It's ECAC. You can get on the VOD. Someone can interpret it for you. But we go to game 3, and I need to know, do we see something experimental out of Wichita, or do they just want to get the night done?
I certainly don't think that you should be changing anything if you're Wichita State. What you've been doing has been working. So I think the real question, the more important question is, do Siena Heights try to get interesting or fancy or something else with their composition? Now, there's some very interesting stuff here for Lotus. I'm just going to ignore Wichita for a moment and talk about Siena. So, listen. It's totally reasonable to be playing this Neon. What is a little bit crazy is not to have a Sky and to be going with the KO. And then on top of that, going for the double initiator. A lot of people have worked towards, I feel like, double duelist at times on this map recently, which I know seems a little crazy. But not having double initiator and not having a Sky is insanity.
It's going to be fun because the way that the initiator works for KO, off of the knife, it's actually kind of destructible to get intel. You're going to be playing actively around your flashes, which we saw work a time or two for Siena Heights, but this is a very scrappy composition. The Astra, I actually don't dislike this. Your typical kind of comes around a Viper Harbor and sometimes even Omen Harbor because there's just so much power. Everyone hated Harbor whenever they first were brought in. I'm not sure why, but no one knew how to play them. I think everyone just hates new agents when they don't know how. The only one being like the exception is ISO, and everyone typically has enjoyed them. Regardless,
I'm an ISO hitter.
You're an ISO hater. Was because do you not like playing as ISO or hate playing against ISO? I think that's
neither. I just dislike the 1v1 mechanic. I think it's like a bad. Dude, I know I'm so lame. I just think it's like that as a concept is a bad move for this style of game. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I'm boring, but yeah, it is what it is.
You lose your ones. I understand. Me too.
Don't need to put me on blast like that, even if it's true.
Well, we're gonna see what kind of aggression can be really manifested out of this Neon. Because if you're gonna have this Astra, this is set piece style, and already this Nebula is gonna burn out as Piggy wants to take up space in mid, and they're getting caught out.
Oh, caught out indeed, and just not having an exit strategy there, unfortunately. They were trying to take a fight more towards Mound, it looked like to me, with that aggression towards C, instead losing out at B, and the hit at A, putting Wichita State in good position to get the spike planted. There's another question that we'll get back to in a moment of where that Viper for Siena Heights, but that'll be after this pistol round retake. 4-on-5 upcoming.
Trying to use that poison orb to really deny anything that comes through stairs. Oh, the flashpoint. That is rough, but no one down checks the rope. No one ever does. The retake is pretty darn strong, though, as you do have Skeebs all the way from stairs. They have two very hurt players right in front of them. Oh, but they can't land the shot on the next as Noble comes up big enough. on that 3K.
And I mean, the strength of this composition for Siena Heights is their flash utility. They've got the flash drive, they've got the flash point, they've got the fault line. There's a lot to work with. The stuns are aplenty. There's stuns for everybody. I mean, you got Gravity Well, you got Nova Pulse, you also, I forget what it's called, but the Neon Stun as well. You can help me out. But yeah.
Oh, is it the Shock Bolts? I'm pretty sure. No, that's for Sova.
I'll find out. I haven't seen a Neon in a minute. You gotta have to give me a break. I'll get it. Give me a sec.
Okay, hold on. I think we're all hitting the old Googles, but
oh no, I've got my sheet.
Relay Bolt. There we go.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was in the back of my mind. But the point is, there's a lot of stun utility here for Siena Heights, and I think that is where they have an advantage. That's something that they're going to have to utilize to their to the positive, because especially considering they have so much less controller utility than the Wichita State comp.
Sona. Ooh. Nearly getting got as that door continued to spin, but no extra damage will be incurred as a few will drop between the two. But it becomes a swing and a rotate to go back over at least towards A. This is the most decoy talk screen that I've seen because they've set it up to A. I like this position because I do this on Viper as well, but it's much the opposite of what we had on the talk screen that was primed for B when they set to A. So they're always playing deceptive here for the Shockers into this 2v3 now where, I mean, they've at least been able to get guns out of the hands of the Huskies.
I'm glad you mentioned the Viper, because that is something that I'm concerned about for Siena Heights. Just seem not to be interested in the Viper hype train, which, I'll be honest, is just not where I'm at. I'm personally fully on the Viper train. Have been for a while, but I think that on this map in particular, it's as must pick as things get.
Yeah.
You know, this is not a game at least not in collegiate, where you have to play any agent. But Viper for me on this map is one of those.
Viper on this map is as, like, sure thing in an agency pool as Viper on old Icebox. Like,
yeah.
It will be there. And to not do it means you have great confidence in a completely separate motif. And the fact that we're seeing this big stun situation is huge. Truman, well, they get caught in the corner. They're going to have their weapons stolen, but they at least get that first pick. And this is, again, a particular set of 5 for the Huskies that had their bonus become very, very weak. Oh, right around the corner. Algia gets rid of Sui, and it's just been trade for trade so far.
And this is working out brilliantly, at least at the start. Cams and company will start to trade that back, putting Sona all alone here at C. And in the back lines as well. Spike not going to go down yet. They're concerned, and for good reason. Maybe waiting out another dark cover. Or just holding back and looking to ensure that nobody's going to be over-aggressive. That relay bolt will stun one up, and the Seekers go out. That's confirmation of Teeson's position.
They go out. They don't get to search too far. 2v3. They know that both were going to swing right around the pillar, but where weren't they going to go? Sona actually has a very powerful weapon. They still have it on lock, but they're getting covered from this cross as Cams finds them on the opposite side. So as the distraction begins from one side of mid-C, the other one cleans it up, and we go to a very typical kind of feature. Obviously 2-1, but when haven't we seen this swing 2-2? We saw it Ascent, we saw it Haven, we're seeing it again. It's always been the same starting points, though.
Yeah, both halves actually on Haven, just the first half over on Ascent. I think that Wichita State, credit where it's due, that last round, remember, started out terribly. They lost the first 2 opening engagements. Eventually, we saw the trade come forward. This is the positive of the Neon, though. Sona is so easy to get aggressive there. The sprint, that dash, gives you so much ability to preempt the attacker's control at rubble, at root.
It's sliding and no one can be able to target you. For some reason, Neon is the toughest thing in the world to hit. I think it's easy, especially when they pop that overdrive, but other people will just panic. I'm not a great player. I don't know what I'm talking about. Either way, we at least poke into C and B, which is going to be a point of contention. They're going to try and fly through, but they're delayed so far. You have the well and you have the swarm grenades, and they feel repelled by this util kind of overuse, but that's also because so much space is now at least tried to be secured at B. Talk screen up has given them more foot room, and now they know the KO is just back tight.
This is massive. In the meantime, while they're taking so much contact, that's when the push over at A is happening. Cam's dispatching with the Neon. T-Man, massive frag. This allows for SHU to have one track mind to deal with the take here at A. It's a post plant. Didn't see this since the pistol, and we saw how that went.
Flashpoint gets used. No one is going to get caught from it. You do actually have both the paint shells as well as a snake bite out from secret position, so they can actually use that to cover down on where the plant currently is. They're going to play for safety around that corner. Cams, great tags up as well as with Truman from this tree position, and Thiessen is just there to find him on the off angle. Cams gets 3, continues to just be MVP in my book for this squad. We go 2-2. It's another eco at the 5th round. It's pretty much become tradition here for the Huskies.
And it's not just Cam's number of frags. Oh, that's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. What it is the specific kills he's getting. That kill onto the Neon. Sona having all of A site fully cleared out. Sona the only one there, and allowing for the rest of the team to then make their way in, and then the first prong of the retake getting shut down and information gained, seeing the 2 additional players. That's why those kills so important for Camps.
Sona with the relay bolt. Oh, with a quick snapshot, and they're joined by the infantry and the cavalry riding through. So immediately 2 drop. That means 2 weapons to get and gather. So now, Wichita State, their backup plan is Noble is going to just flash drive out, and then they're going to take a step away, and this is going to be a 5v3. Now, granted, Wichita State, with those 3 players remaining, still have at least high weaponry, but that's a great immediate push. Take over mound.
Want to see the from the shadows here, maybe. Getting information, they are lacking it big time. That 0 point. Doesn't quite find anything. The null command's going to shut down any further utility or ambition from Wichita State. Skeebs stuck in a corner. Needs to deal with the first contact. All through everything. Noble goes down. There are the overdrive. Those tickly fingers not so successful. Snake bite. Paranoia. It's all working to perfection.
I love it, because they were trying to play off of the swarm grenades that they could throw off a wall and kind of a banked angle, if you will, to cover down. And again, they were playing from kind of a dead eco. You use the overdrive into it and just stay steady when you're facing a Neon. I know they move fast, but just don't start scribbling all over your screen. Right now, Sui just trying to kind of at least put some area damage out for everyone else. Cam's at 10-2. And I know that you said it's not about the numbers, but sometimes it's about the numbers.
You know, you do bring up a good point. Numbers are important, and those are getting pumped up pretty significantly. Speaking of, Wichita State in the lead for the first time on Lotus.
I got this spot.
The sheer amount of stunning utility it gives every possibility, every round of flourish of possibilities for Siena Heights. That last round at Mound, for example, it was a fault line into a relay bolt, just chain stunning everybody there. It doesn't necessarily give you wins, though.
Oh, no one covering down this angle on turn. Sui will grab their first 2 kills as Piggy, becomes the 3rd one. Wow. It was a 3-man stack here on C. It really felt like a very powerful position, but it was actually where mid, again, if they've been playing into C, they have at least 1, and then in previous 2 rounds, 2 that go into B to try and take some of those fights, especially against T-Man, who has been a menace at times, especially with these really good flashes.
Sui, by the way, a scoreless player right before that last round. Picked up 3 kills in a row at C. Swift and clean. think we're going to see Siena work a little bit harder for root control in some of the upcoming rounds. This is not one of them, just taking some B control initially. It does feel like some of the trap plays that Siena Heights are putting together are great, but when they aren't being done, when you are just seeing, you know, maybe an aggression towards B where nobody's located, that's where things fall apart elsewhere, on the outskirts of the map.
I love that they have this setup option too. If they really wanted to work their way over to Secret, they've already got Talk Screen to cover down into Heaven. Oh, the Rolling Thunder. Cam's playing for the breakaway. They want to walk through this door, and then on the other side of that swivel, T-Man at least pops one. Sui walks out, and they do have the getaway train, and they're gonna bust bricks and go. Cam's ruins T-Man when they barely could see, and now a very hurt Algia. 1 HP. We've seen it done. 1v4. Just do it this time. You know, just do what Truman did.
That's true. Rare that you can say you've seen the 1 HP 1v4 clutch this series. That is not something you hear very often, but not this time. Siena Heights. 2 rounds they pick up, but they've lost the next 5. As we head into round number 8, it's a full gun round. 10 Vandals. No operators. No Phantoms either.
Turret out.
Just keeping it steady. Don't need an operator when you're hitting the shots like they have been out there. Cam's at 12 and 3. I'm gonna bring up numbers regardless numbers are important or not. Poison Orb out just to at least get rid, I think, of the stairway. But they put some pressure on to Rubble and Root.
Yeah.
As they're actually going to go all the way out, and that fault line's going to catch them lacking and lurking. Piggy will get the pick onto Truman, and this showstopper's popped.
Good work, though, from Wichita. They done it! They've done it! They found the weakness inside of the C site. Aggression at B, aggression at A, and they instantly rotate away with Sui's showstopper getting 2 to save the day.
Immediately swinging momentum of personnel. Algia, they could actually play off of a lockdown if they wanted to, but they're going to get seen by the sentry turret from the Shockers. Noble going to put out the 0-point knife, and that will nullify at least one. Another big trade. Algia will drop Sona finding Cams, but this all becomes a crash site, and they have control from outside sight. With the swarm grenade denying them, they can do the same thing. Put it out, delay for longer, and now this is going to be a loss of the numbers game. Noble's going to have to run away with katana in hand, a samurai that's losing their legend lore. So, Wichita, they found 6 in a row right now. You got to think a timeout would be great, maybe to cut down this momentum, but maybe just let them play it out.
Yeah, I like the idea of a timeout right here. Siena, though, they've been doing the right things. A lot of good decision-making. They're setting up the plays that I would expect from a composition like this. They aggress towards Rubble that I was talking about. I thought that that's what they were going to find. They found that fault line play into B to get the opening pick, but immediately, that's when, as soon as Wichita State saw where they were located, they immediately rotate over to C, and they find the space that was given up by setting up those plays.
Yeah, they worry less about what pick happens, and they can just very smartly say, okay, well, our main objective now is just get the spike plan and put it on site. So
this is a bunch of times that Wichita State have lost the opening pick and won the round.
Yeah. Very confident, because they already know that one is lurking anyway, so that is really not their high-value target anyway. So
look at this.
Great look from the Shockers. This is another eco situation. You have them trapped between 2. Pathfinder's going to go through and clear tree. T-Man. A lot of T's and a lot of M's. So you have 3 pressing up through C, and that's where Skeebs is going to catch them. Oh, they get caught instead.
Yeah, a little bit of a missed opportunity, sure, but Viper's Pit is down, and without a Sova trying to find your way back in here is going to be difficult. Sui, it's about the freest kill you could ever expect. With Cams down, this is now Wichita State in some trouble with 3 players left alive. Some more weaponry available for the Huskies to work with. The Shockers might not be in trouble yet, but they're quickly running out of room.
Oh, I love that. Get out of your own snake pit. And now with just one left to go, you could hit him with a right click and it would just render him lifeless. It's done with a shorty instead, just for impact, an exclamation point at the end of that sentence. And now the Huskies, I mean, it wasn't eco, but they had to challenge into the Viper Pit. Shockers are making, like you had said at the beginning of this map, Vincent, that this is their map. They picked into Lotus. And it feels like they are in control of it. They've only got 3 rounds left in this first half, and it could very easily, if this round turns the wrong way for the Huskies, turn into a 10-2.
I do want to bring up the point, though, and ask the question. This is an attack-sided map, you know, probably the most attack-sided in the pool. How much of this is that? How much of this is the Shockers just dominating? Well, that's TBD. 1-for-1 trade out to A, fast and quick, Wichita State. They're going to get the plant once more. There's an overdrive available, but the lockdown's the bigger point that I want to bring up. That can be put to good use here at any moment.
They can play it from a very safe distance, especially. You've got soft lineup. They're going to try and get very aggressive. They're going to use every bit of util to try and clear them some space, and they're just gonna bumble stack. Why not? The paranoia comes through. Sui's above in heaven, and everyone's at these very safe corridors. They put the dark cover down, and they're just clearing them. The overdrive has in fact been popped, but they pop them right back. And now in the mouth, the first 10 have been lopsided in favor of the Shockers. Remember, it was 8-4 in favor of the Shockers when we were on Ascent. We've only got 2 rounds to go. Huskies desperate to try and have at least the first half result of the same.
And only now they pull out the tactical timeout, but I think it makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Up until this point, the Huskies haven't been, they've been outmaneuvered, but they haven't been outplayed, dominated. You know, the scoreline looks that way, but it's been good plays for the Huskies. They've been trying out some good ideas. They've even been getting the opening picks in a lot of these situations. That last round, it was never close. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, the Huskies could make this happen. It was just straight run at them at A, get into the post plant, and win from there. And that's where the Huskies start to get worried.
Yeah, that was really the most not even disjointed. It just that's what I feel like I get in my pugs. You're like, all right, guys, let's retake from the same spots. That's not at all a measured approach, and that's exactly why the coach is just telling them, calm down. You need to be able to have this measured the same way. The IGL must be going nuts. I wish we could kind of peek into the brains of what's happening over there. But right now, the main brains that we've been seeing is the smarts out of the Shockers. And they've got 2 to go to really make it a dominant feature. It already has been, but even more as they right the tail of this first half with just a couple left in front of them. Cams has been the author of quite a few kills, as well as they've been putting on an MVP performance for several maps in a row.
Siena Heights, a passive approach this time. They don't even go for any of these aggressive plays that this composition is so well known for. Caught on the fault line. T-Man falls. Algia can just barely escape with their life. The spike will go down on the B's site with an advantage of just the one as the Seekers fly. Time for the post plant.
They're going to be separated from Secret. They're going to be on that CB link. And Cams is going to be holding this sentry away from the relay vault, and that's just not an easy find. A hard spray. Oh, they walk straight into it bravely. On the outside turn, they're the last one clean, and that's Sui with 4. Shockers 1 away from making this double digits in the first half and trying to grab this entire championship for the fall semester by storm. The most gained so far is Sona at 8 and 11 on the side of the Huskies. They got to get this one. Really kind of believe in some of this curse.
Well, there's no curse. There's no third round. So I'm looking at this and trying to see what the win condition would be here. And looks like taking some aggressive maneuvering. That's a flash, though, to push back the Neon from that angle. No more into position.
Oh.
How many times is this going to be allowed to happen?
Truman headshotting Noble in the first pick of the round. Maybe a more iconic duo. They're gonna use pretty much everything for this funnel of util as they have a bunch of nebulas. You got a showstopper. Now you got to be concerned if you are. Oh, they pass right by. They're still gonna be traded. Algia goes down after they let loose the rocket. So now gonna set up for the post plant into mound, and it depends really what gets established here. They're gonna get that one off, and now the lockdown getting used to establish more pressure. And look where Truman is. They're all the way behind enemy lines.
Yeah, I mean, is that even, that lockdown even going to be relevant if Truman just gets them both here? Indeed does just that. T-Man all on their lonesome, doing his best work. They're at least trying to. 1v4, picked up the first, can try and isolate a second, but the operator of cams stops it in its tracks. 10-2. That's pistol round 1 for Siena Heights. And then they lose 10 in a row after the anti-eco.
Really is showing, like, just what agency affects into so many of these maps. And it's not like there is a set plug and play, this must be the thing that you must do to win when it comes to agent, because it does boil down to a gun game. But when you see Piggy and Noble at the bottom, and it's off of a KO and an Astra, you're seeing an effectivity be ineffective in that state. So what can they do attacking wise? It does look like we're going to be looking at a crash on B and C, maybe something similar that we got at a Wichita State a few times to 2, but they're going to be posted up with 3 on C. That could be just a full rumble in the jungle on top of mound.
Nope. Flash through the door. Noble, Zona, both going to get a frag apiece, but Cams is bringing it back and able to shroud and step away from that. Noble trying to flash drive his way in. The fragment to hold it back, but Cams is on a rotate. Great adjustment. Those Cams will fall. Siena Heights looking likely to pick up another pistol victory.
When haven't they won a pistol?
They've won a lot of pistols.
Truman. Both going to be coming from the same position. Out through this nebula. If they don't win this one, I'm not surprised. 0-point knife does tag them. Trying to at least get a spam through the stars. They have just targets in front of them, and they have to get off this angle. They can't identify them fast enough. Skeeves get got, and Algia will trade their doppelgangers. So, Huskies, a consolation prize right now. This is, I mean, believe it or not, I mean, you definitely will. They've got to run with so much momentum from here to way later.
Yeah, I don't want to undersell how huge, monumental this comeback is going to be. Down 10-2, that 10-2 number is where, I don't know about you, but as a caster, I sort of just kind of toss a team out in my mind when it's 10-2 the scoreline. Because that 10-2 comeback is so incredibly rare, because there's just not a lot of rope to to make mistakes.
No, yeah, no, I agree. Oh, everyone getting flashed, including the teammate, and that's gonna leave Sona Piggy just getting cleanup kills, oopsie doopsies, and then flashes will be traded. Sui in a rough position. They're able to double blast back out of harm's way for the time being, and Wichita State went for something cheeky, but a sky flash is what paid out.
Wichita not likely at the beginning of this round to win. Certainly even less likely now. With a small chance of success. Look how split they are, though. Sui. Oh, nice shot.
Crispy.
Hanging on to that paint shell as well in order to try and get some damage in before falling back away.
A chance they didn't get off of sight, and if they don't have that position, they're kind of in a doomed state. Skeeves gives themselves up, and they don't get any value spam on the wall. This is Huskies in a place of advantage. They don't have to do much more than receive, and they do have the weapon upgrade. Okay, I've seen 10-2s far more often, and it's in a weird way, than 9-3s. I don't know why. I think it's because one team feels so secure that they have the win that they kind of let a bit of gas, like let off the pedal. gas ain't burning as hot anymore for some reason. And I don't know. Maybe there's too many memes in 9-3s, but 10-2s, magic happens more often here, at least from what I've seen.
I mean, I can certainly see that. That's absolutely a possibility. What I do think is important to note, though, is that we haven't been able to see a gun round yet, and this is the first chance.
The gun rounds have been huge and overtly won by Wichita State. They didn't lose a single one in that previous first half because, I mean, they lost pistol, they lost against the buy-up, and then after that, they went streaking. Just like you often got to do in college. 4v4, as everyone hangs out for the Huskies here, and that's a very strong position on that talk screen. Because if you try to walk straight into that, you're going to be hurting on either position, especially with tree and into secret. But they look for their options, and it looks like they're heading right back to C. The only place they're really giving up, but there's still util to fight through.
Even scenario, though. Sticking together, probably the right play for Siena. Especially considering how spread out Wichita State have to be currently. Information being gathered, though. Look at this Omen push. Cams is looking to find out the info. To clear out some of B. Can't get away. Thiessen caught on rotate, and that Aftershock will clear out tree position, at least for the moment, but T-Man solo there, and Sui's going to get a forward position, can get the fast flank as the plant comes down.
That's actually so smart. They got to know that Sui is now out. They're going to use those paint shells, and now a very early but very emphatic use of this ultimate. They're gonna have to blast back their way in. Sui's behind enemy lines, and they're in the hut, very blind to anything that they could be able to pick up intel-wise. Spin the door. Cams is just gonna march. See what's right around the corner. They pre-fire, but no. Noble gets them before they can have any impact, and that finally is a break from tradition for the Huskies. They find 3 in a row.
And that'll get them into position. Wichita State, when do you get worried? When do you get worried? That's the question on my mind at the moment. I don't think you're worried yet, but the Sheriff round, I would say a danger for Siena Heights.
I would say a loss of 2 rounds from now. This one's gonna be this one's gonna be a tough round to win. The next one's gonna be a rifle because this is an eco. You lose that one, it becomes 7-10, and that's when you start to kind of sweat. You're like, okay, all right, we have to fight back onto an eco again, and that becomes a full cycle. They're cycling in, trying to be able to get at least the dash. Sona off of the relay bolt. They're pushing Cams back. They're very confident about being able to take these fights, but I don't know why you are, because the snapshots are hitting for Cams, and they're actually going to leave them to their own devices.
3 on 3. Spike down. Plenty to work with, at least on paper. T-Man's going to dispatch with Truman, and that will most likely shut down any chance of victory. As I see that, Cams got under the sight. That is an nanoswarm that isn't going to connect. Sui has the shots fired. Cam's trying to put on the pressure, but Sui is doing the same. T-Man will put it into the 1-on-1. Fault line doesn't go through. Cam's just holding this. Aftershock, it will hit, but the Thrifty is there. Aftershock gets the kill, but it's too late.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. They left Cams unchecked. That is huge for Wichita. I was talking about the fear factor and when it starts to form, and right now, that now becomes an unknown. If SHU had been able to secure that round, it would have been expensive. A lot of bodies were dropping, but they would have then been rolling into a rifle in the right direction. Now they've allowed the 11th to be picked up. Oh, it's all gone flustered and wrong. Cams, that was just a misplay of util and timing.
Yeah, I also think the communication of where exactly the spike was planted didn't come through. I think they thought the nanoswarm would have done some damage or whatever. Clearly, there was an adjustment required once they realized, oh crap, that's not where the spike, we thought the spike was planted. Also, props to Sui, who the timing was really well played with regard to taking that fight, taking as much time as possible to pull things off. And now Wichita State cutting that needed round count just to 2.
It's in 2 halves, I've seen. But as soon as the 11th is put up, something strange happens and now everyone gets depressed. And this is when you have to fight against your heart, which really tries to just kind of collapse in on itself like a dying star. This is not where the Huskies need to end their fight. But they're definitely going to have themselves up against the wall. No matter what, this was going to be a rifle, considering the eco that it was a moment ago. But after that being a round win, Wichita State in a much stronger position. You have the paranoia set and ready to be used if they want to. Dark cover actually set up. Talk screen will repel them for now. No big picks. You actually have kind of anti-lurk via personnel set up on the B and C corridors, but everyone disciplined out of Wichita.
That is something that I feel like has been a consistent factor for Wichita, is the discipline that they've been able to show. Here's the adjustment. SHU. Huskies heading back. That's a great from the shadow. That just gives so much information. Knowledge about where the Huskies are located, and now the Huskies immediately just fan back out. Falter. Don't want to commit because their info's given up.
Oh, well, Thiessen's going to get found from either side. You know what? They've left themselves with very little time. Where do you execute? Do you go B? Do you go C? Spike is still relegated to C, but it's traveling back center mass. That talk screen not quite up. They're going to use the relay bolt, and they've got to get picks off of Sona. They at least get cams. That is massive to get that player off the field, but trades galore. They're able to get Sui back involved, and Algio is able to rend them lifeless. It becomes a 1v3. Truman versus the gang. This has happened before. Does the same play happen again? They got to find from 2 separate angles, and they don't clear the first one. Noble gets them out. Huskies stay alive.
And this time the crossfire set and ready to roll. They learned their lesson in Siena Heights, and back into the eco for Wichita State. They're in some deep water with regard to their economy. Of course, that can be rectified in a round or 2, but every round given up is just another step in the right direction. I love that Siena Heights clearly not giving up after such a disastrous first half. They know that their attack side is strong. They have all this utility available to them, and they can take just about any space they need.
Yeah, they definitely can, but it's just about when they can turn the space taken up into effective space. Because, I mean, you can walk straight into open floor. They've not been able to turn it into much at times, especially because they lose so many players along the way. That's the first one going down. This is another eco, and they do at least get one of Sona dropping. But that's what you expect out of a Neon. They are fast, they are furious, and they die by that same speed. Cams and Sui from outside sight. They have Thiessen to help them out otherwise, but this is a traveling spike. Sui with the fadeaway.
Oh, man. Making life difficult once again for SHU. They're going to be on the move back towards A. It is a crazy run in rotation. Nice anticipation. That's going to catch out Cams as well. Great work on that 0 point. Knowledge gained. Where this player is located, and Noble catches him off guard.
Lockdown getting in Forest, and they're trying to just secure this round. Something that's come at a high premium they've not been able to afford. And I like this rotation. Sui's reading this very well. The timing! Noble gets over and behind them. They don't quite get that pick. So now it becomes a 2v2 with Noble able to infiltrate, but Thiessen gets the next one, and it's cleared. Wichita recovers well, and this will be them getting to series fall championship point. Huskies, it is now a do or die situation.
And you feel so terribly there for SHU, considering that was the round that they had it. They were up against an eco. It was supposed to be, quote-unquote, easy mode. And that's when Wichita State, they pull out all the stops and they find themselves in position to close this in 3. A best-of-5 series that is currently going the distance, but Siena Heights, they have no more mistakes available.
All right, Overdrive. Can the Emperor Palpatine their way to a victory? At least chop off the head of Thiessen. They're going to try and use that to full effect, and they're going to get faster, stronger, and rotate almost immediately away. They have, again, kind of their anti-lurk personnel, quote-unquote, to hold down both B and C, but 2 big picks, and they can actually play for a very powerful personnel diff with the 5v3 here on C. They've favored it. They like the lockdown of how close they can make these corridors, but the lockdown in actuality for retake could get invested depending on where Skeeps goes, but they're caught out by Piggy.
Yeah, lockdown no more, and at that point, Showstopper probably not the best to invest here. I wouldn't actually hate Wichita State just walking away.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, smart.
Don't need to over-invest, be overzealous. You have so many rounds to work with, 6, about to be turn 5, but still, a lot of opportunities to close this out, and you save this extra money. As long as you can carry these rifles up back over into the next round or even get exits, you should be able to continue to buy. At least that's what I believe the money is like.
Oh boy. You at least get 1 trade. Wow. There's not going to be a lot of weapons left behind at all. But same to be said for Wichita. All right. So, eco in the previous. Rifle to that one.
Yeah.
You lose on that round. Yeah, you could play around a hero rifle and still have some cash. So that we've seen a thrifty already. So it's not unwinnable for Wichita if they were to randomly pull it out here, but you got to think SHU, I mean, they're playing with very low cash, but they got to just keep winning on.
Yeah, I think if they had tried to save those a little bit more, I would have, probably seen more of a full buy situation here. But I think the eco is the right decision considering they lost the rifles. Tech pause apparently is underway, so we're going to take a moment to look things over and let them figure out whatever the issue is. What I do want to bring up, though, is the consistency that Siena Heights have been able to pull off this comeback. What is the reason for it? Let's try to pin something down. For me, the biggest thing is that they've been able to consistently take fights on their own terms. That's what they weren't able to do on the defense.
Yeah, and that's pretty much indicative of an attacking position because I mean, especially if you're playing again with a Neon is built around a lot more of kind of a cash grab, just crash, see what happens, be able to find a pick, and it's with absolute speed. It's got an escape plan too because it's an opposite of a raise where you go deep and hopefully you killed everyone, whereas Neon's like okay, I'm also out of here, bye. But opposite of that, they've also been playing to the exact same positional responsibility. You're seeing Piggy and Algia taking C and B respectively. And it's not deep to them, but really maintaining that there is no presence to press out by Wichita, which they haven't done anyway. They've really played deep into sites. And then it's like, all right, do we win A? Cool, rotate to us. Do we not? Let's prod the other sites and see if we can be able to make those work.
Yeah, and then onto the attack side, right? The amount of utility that they have at their disposal, it does just give them so many options and opportunities to take fights. Whether that be the fault line or the flashpoint, the flash drive, there's just so many options. So available to them, and that extends into the post plan, as we saw. Trying to retake a site was often something that was difficult, but once you have control, holding on to it, when you have all those options, all that utility to your name, It's a lot simpler of a strategy to pull off. And hey, slowly but surely they are closing the distance. But listen, we are just one round away from victory for the likes of Wichita State. That is a big issue.
It really is. And you have to be able to play to your absolute pinnacle going into all of these rounds, 5 in a row, and then you have to win by 2. So 7 required for the Huskies to get into the next game regardless and to keep this series going. But 1 round at a time makes a championship. They're going to use the null command to get on the site, shut down this kit, and take over.
What you saw, not much when it comes to putting up a fight. Instead, they'll play the retake. There's a lockdown. That is... I don't know if it's going to be invested by Skeeves here. Not necessarily around. I would have expected them to. Skeeves goes down alongside the other two. Sui trying their best with the hero rifle, but it doesn't work out.
They've sussed out where Thiessen is, so now everyone will converge. The guiding light will flash behind, and at this point, they're just kind of trying to stick around to either die to the spike or just take what picks they can find. They get neither. Team Ace out of SHU. Siena Heights cuts it down to just 4. I just realized in totality, there are 4 blinds and 4 stuns on this squad. That is the most heinous type of entry that you could really get on an attacking team.
That's what I've been saying. I've been screaming it from the rooftops. These guys just have everything. It's crazy.
The total, though. I was like, okay, yeah, they got this stuff. I thought it was like maybe like 3, 2. No, man.
It's all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough to deal with. I mean, obviously, this the attack side of this map is typically where you find the most success, and having all of those tools at your disposal pumps that success rate up, I will admit. Looks like a Viper's Pit at B.
Yeah.
It's going to at least add some easy defense over to that site. And look at this. It's almost as if they are committing to a bit of an A lean. Not quite an A stack, but they were leaning towards A. That's now changed back to C.
It's been a 1-1-3 in that exact same pattern for a while. The only difference is the agency, I guess, basically turn that they actually brought Piggy over here instead, as they've been sitting on C. It's been identified as well by Algia that Viper Pit is in B, which kind of cuts short the idea of using Secret as a thoroughfare. They're going to use the Cosmic Divide, and this could be the final play for them into this rifle round. It's a full 5v5 retake, locked down defensively and showstopper, as this could get loud for the Shockers to try and retake and complete this championship.
So, coming through the B-Link, 2 out of the 5 members to retake. Here comes the fight. Showstopper in. Sui leading the charge, knowing where they're located, but a missed shot on that Showstopper. Zona still alive. Inside the smoke, the guiding light gets him out, and 1 player locked down and locked out. T-Man needs to go big, but just gets the first with Noble down. This is game over. This is fall over for SHU. Wichita State have done it.
Did their studies, and they take these finals by storm. A 3-0 sweep, but it still took some work. None of these games were short of fantastic, but it was just a well-executed final plan by the Shockers. Wichita State, congratulations. They'll be taking this final 3-0 for the ECAC, and my goodness, Lotus, a dominating feature. It was 10-2 first half, and then they just had to slowly put down the Huskies.
Yeah, I think that in general, Siena, they had a little bit of a different idea, a different strategy. Weren't necessarily like playing the most, like, I'm gonna use the word meta here, but just weren't the most traditional strategies. And that was fine. Works out great at times, but I think that Wichita came in with their game plan set. and they knew how to execute it, and that worked well for them. The other thing that I thought was fantastic from Wichita is whenever they were going down, whenever Siena were making their way back into games, the adjustments were on point. Whenever they needed to find out what was going wrong, Wichita State correctly identified the problem and a solution.
Yeah, and honestly, they have very clutch-up players, too. I mean, Sui popped off in a massive way. Cams did in just the exact same in previous rounds, and they continue to be kind of that off initial play, sort of like, I will secure this round, let's get this going, especially whenever they did it. Just with all the util thrown at them in the world and staying patient. But Sui, 376 ACS, 27 eliminations, maybe just that one first blood, but it was their entry, their pressure, and more that really gave the final just stamp on the letter, and that's going to be signed off well to be able to get this 3-0 sweep. That was such a finality and a whole team concept out of the Shockers.
Yeah, I think that as much as I think Sui deserves a ton of credit, like Cams really did power that 10-2 scoreline. Like Sui's stats, great, but the impact that we saw across the board, we talked about Skeeb's nonstop when it came to Ascent. I felt like we talked too much about Truman when it came to Haven, and then Cams and Sui continuing on to Lotus. Like you say, it wasn't a one-man or even a two-man show. Everybody stepped up and had moments in this grand finals for Wichita State.
Well, you could say it was almost a Truman show, as on the other side of this break, we're going to be having an interview with the Shocker himself. Stick with us. More ECAC finals as we have an interview right after this.
But yeah, I'm just surprised that the Swain didn't end up moving a little bit sooner. His now, Jana, no flash.
Heal, flash, auto attack, first blood. Froggy is the one to pick that one up, and Evelyn Bot is in the area. Descent does drop the Rift Guard. They're going to look to engage. It's going to be a Cataclysm getting dropped down, but Vagar got pulled into the Cataclysm, which could be trouble.
Ooh.
Down goes Evelyn Bot. Down goes the Vagar as well. Hugs Descent and the support on the one side, but they're going to be the ones that get engaged on. Ultimate coming off for the Malphite onto the Vagar, but the Vagar is still okay for right now. He's going to try to flash the rest of his team as Evelyn Bot is on the look. The Caitlyn was left all alone on the backside, and no free hugs is now left all alone with everybody else from Farmingdale.
That's game.
Both of them are level 4. No Zillion bombs are available right now, which means French Delta Force is going to be able to get in. There's the flash, but the flag and drag lands, and El Unicornio in a lot of trouble. French Delta Force not able to get the kill. That one's going to go over to Uricon. Vagar
he's
doesn't
dead.
quite know where he is. Has spotted him out. Here comes the Jarvan over the wall. Multiple members over the wall now as they're trying to get as much damage as possible. French Delta Force able to get the first kill. Now, bearing down on to the Xayah. They are going to get revived by the Zillion, but weak side. It just means they're a sitting duck to give more kills.
There's nothing. Yeah,
Here
they
comes the
quite
ultimate.
literally.
Malphite getting in there on multiple members here. Weak side is now starting to join the fight here. Somebody's in stasis, somebody's resurrecting, but it doesn't just matter. They're just all meant to die to Vagar. It's a double kill for weak side, a double kill for French Delta Force. They get a kill back.
Leave the old man alone!
But they are going to be able to close out onto the Zillion. The cherry on top for Froggy and Farmingdale State College.
Holding on to this stock at 160.
Oh yeah, both of these characters decently heavyweight, gonna be seeing very large percentages. And the back ear from Matt Fat managing to take it right there.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to recover from this unless you get countered. Dags with a huge opener there.
But Splat says, listen, I need you to get right back off stage. It's nice that you want to get here. You gotta go.
And the block, I think, actually helps Splat there. Again, falling because the second hit of that.
I didn't get to show out last time the way I wanted to. Well, I'll do it.
He's all warmed up now, but he will drop that stock this time around. Gordo up tilt, a week where they went to set number 3 and fell in that previous series.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
wow, what a down air. Instead, you can kind of slowly build up damage, and then your armored move will not connect with all the hits, so you won't get the kill. And then you die. Tries to go for a very early up B kill right there, and your shield looks like a Skittle, and that will be it. The force match should be able to take it and hope with the JV3 against Splat.
That I think if you can use Milkman to shut down a B rush, you're pretty happy with that, especially if they're rushing right in. Mental Athlete catches 2, looking for more. Chris will not be outdone. Make it 3 for Mental Athlete. Yeah, that was more. You're more than happy with that trade.
And that means no KJ utility either, no extra
No.
peaks. And there's a quick trade down. Hookah wins between the Omens. It's Ummo and uh-oh for Mars Hill, as that's gonna be a Brooklyn College first map win. Players, just 1 shot left. Probably 30 HP combined as Noodle gets traded. It's all up to Chris. Headshot necessary for Excite as he's trying to dance around the side. Doesn't know where he's coming from. And Chris just barely secures it. I think 1 more second of stalling.
Yeah.
And that's a Mars Hill round, so absolutely brutal. The concussion come through. Flashpoints as well. This is an all-out brawl.
So much utility.
Ramp coverage.
Welcome back, everyone, to Esports U. We just finished off the ECAC fall finals. I almost called it winter. I bet winter intersession's on the way. But before you get to all those studies, myself, Hell Monkey Man, and Vincent are going to be joined by none other than Truman of Wichita State. The Shocker is coming up huge, and he's got the entire squad behind him. Congratulations, Truman. You and the gang, how does it feel? You took this one in a 3-0 sweep.
It felt good. You know, it was a quick game. We kind of just played our game. We didn't really change anything. Kind of just stuck to our plan, and yeah, that's how it worked.
Well, I mean, it looked fantastic. I think the first question I have for you is kind of compositional, like just across the series, but specifically for Haven and for Lotus, did you guys feel like the composition they were running was something that you guys expected, that was easy to deal with?
We kind of expected something out of the norm out of these teams, but we didn't really expect a Neon or a KO. But I think we adapted well and just sticking to our plan and kind of taking that map control, also punishing them for taking too much map control.
So I have to address it. There's no way I can't. You had probably the play of the whole series, 1v4 clutch back on Haven.
Yeah.
He just kind of, first of all, talk me through it, and then talk to me about the team comms in that moment. What was going on there.
So yeah, it was an insane 1v4. They kind of gave me a lot of 1v1s, so I kind of took them. And yeah, I kind of just played, and the stars kind of aligned. The comms were crazy though. Like, I think that was like the winning moment, to be honest, on Haven. Even though it was really close, I would give it to them. It was a really close game, but yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think that it was exactly said the same way Vincent said. That was the linchpin that really just kind of came out of the machine that was Siena Heights. This squad, I mean, you guys, there was some thoughts, all right, you didn't play everyone through the regular season. There were some forfeits, but you proved through this bracket, through the fall, through this championship, especially with this team coming together as the first composition into this semester, you took down Cumberland as the #1. You did that in Game 3. You went to Game 5 and took down Pace, and then you sweep in this final. How's the future looking for this spring semester? How do you guys feel for that?
Yeah, we feel really good. I'm really proud of the guys. It is my last semester, so I probably will not be playing next semester. But I think given our tenure together, we had like one semester with like barely enough time to practice because I am in nursing school, so it is tough to have enough time to practice. But yeah, I think we did pretty well, and I'm glad to play to these guys.
Honestly, that's so cool. You know what? We hope for a great future for you. Any shout outs for yourself, fans, friends, family, anyone out there that you'd love to be able to give some love to?
Yeah, I would shout out WSU for letting me play. It was a great time. Our sponsors, shout out to my friends, family, and my girlfriend, and yeah, everyone here. It was a great time. Thank you.
That's awesome. Shockers, you did it in a shocking 3-0 sweep. You win the fall championship, able to win it in the ECAC. Congratulations. Enjoy your win, and I hope you do well in nursing school, man, and have a great education as well for the rest of your collegiate semester.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Well, Vincent, a team that maybe some change-ups in the future, but, right now they can enjoy a sweet, sweet victory.
Indeed, and you know what? Still well deserved. I think that you actually put it best there. They ran the gauntlet here through this bracket and proved the doubters wrong, showing exactly what they're made of, and what a way to kind of cap off a collegiate career there for Truman as well. So I'm so excited to see what Wichita State continues to bring into the spring semester as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to have a lot of action going into that next semester, but that's it for the ECAC, at least for this fall, as spring will be in just a little bit. We're going to have to make it through an arduous winter, and of course, I want to thank the production here for Esports U. That's Cool Scoots, as well as Professor Layton, that were able to help with the production as well as the observation. Of course, Vincent, it was so cool being in the booth with you, my man. It's always great to do these finals, these high-octane matches with you.
Yeah, I had a great time, and listen, thing's not over just yet. Monkey Man, we got more to offer here. Not today, but tomorrow, because SSBU going to be happening at 6 p.m. and then Rocket League after that, and right after that, Overwatch 2. All happening tomorrow. That's starting out at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to grab the popcorn, grab a drink, and sit down for some Esports U action. Well, that said, I think that's done and it for us. Any final thoughts?
You know what? I'm just glad to be able to see some great Valorant, some awesome action. And of course, we hope that you guys enjoy what's left of this week and all that's left in front of you. But for right now, you guys have been fantastic, and we'll have to see you next time.